All right, the lighting is super weird right now. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in to the Central Committee stream with your host, Mike from PA. We are live once again. It is February 13th, 2025. Wow. Welcome on in. Sorry we were a little bit late today, but I was watching Gremlo, and then, you know, sometimes your morning routine takes longer. You know what I mean? I usually try to get my morning routine done before the stream starts, but, you know, it is fucking early. I'm not waking up any earlier. It's basically what happens. We have some bangers today, chat. This is my favorite kind of stream. My favorite kind of stream is people are uniting. People are uniting. They're uniting around how much the Democrats suck. They may not acknowledge it, but the majority report is coming in my direction. Many people are coming in my direction, which is why I need to expand my reach, chat. I need to make it easier to find me, because I have just been incredibly correct about everything. Ethan Klein tried to nuke Hassan, but instead he misfired at his wife's adult daycare clothing sweatshop. Okay, chat. I haven't commented on this, but let's go ahead and get started. I saw someone clip your stream from YouTube on YouTube for the first time today. Hell yeah, brother. Haircut and style. What I really need to do is actually just get a better camera, number one. I need to get... The thing is, I like audio monitoring. You know what I mean? It helps me. I like to hear that it's coming through clearly in the ear set. I know I'm very odd in that way. Many people are not. Not many people are like that, which is okay. But I am. So that kind of, like, if you go into like earpieces, you don't really get auto monitoring. And so that's like an issue. That's an issue. You could get in-ear monitors. Okay, you have to show me how to do that. I don't know how to do that. I can't figure it out. The problem with doing it with software is it's delayed. And delayed audio monitoring is fucking terrible. I need help on that. I don't know how to do this because I'm not an audio person. They have affordable in-ear monitors these days. Okay, I need to get that. I'm sure you guys are right. Of course you guys are right. I'm just dumb. You know, like, I don't know how to do this. So that's something that I want to do, is I want to switch to it. You know, I want to get rid of the headset. I want to improve the camera. I want to set up my background, and that kind of stuff. You aren't dumb, Frumpa. Well, what I should say is, I don't know what I'm talking about in audio stuff. So in that area of human expertise, I am stupid. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know anything. Is this a new content nuke from Ethan? No, we're just making fun of him. We're making fun of his failure. Now, the thing about Ethan Klein is, like, he's fucked. Like, this is the best part. Ethan Klein is just fucked. And the reason why he's fucked is not because of something that we're gonna do, but because he's fallen into the Destiny trap, which is, and this is why Destiny had the success he had up until the point where he was caught being a sex criminal. The reason that Destiny fucks people over is not just that he literally fucks them and records it against their consent. It's that he creates this bubble of insane beliefs and behavior, and because it's a cult and because it's an echo chamber, we are social animals, and so we kind of adjust our expectations of what is acceptable and what isn't acceptable based on what other people are doing and saying. Like, well, how do you think we can have fucking human slavery where they're torturing and raping people, ripping children from their families, you know, ignoring the cries of mercy, you know, and millions upon millions of people participated in chattel slavery who are otherwise normal-brained, well-adjusted people. How could they deal with that? Well, because they were in the bubble of Southern slave culture, basically. And when people from outside that bubble came down and were like, this is fucking disgusting. Like, what are you guys doing? This is inhumane. This is wrong. They were like, what? This is just how it works. That's how it works in the Destiny bubble. You get in the Destiny bubble, and before you know it, they are saying to each other, yeah, incest isn't immoral. Yeah, I think you should be able to be a necrophiliac. And right, 15-year-old girls are a bebophilia. It is a bebophilia, not pedophilia. And they're saying all this shit to each other, right? They're talking about how, they're saying this whacked out shit to each other. And they enter into this bubble, and they lose track of like greater society because you're spending so much time in the Destiny bubble, in the Destiny created universe where he is the God King. And Ethan Klein, and this is what's incredible, people are escaping it because of the sex crimes, but Ethan Klein is falling into it. Well, like half of DGG is falling off. Where the hardest core of the hardest core orbiters are leaving Destiny's cult, Ethan is falling in. And the best part of it is, I don't have to prove it to you. I don't care if you believe it or not. We all know it's true. They know it's true. Ethan Klein's crew knows it's true. And it's very uncomfortable for everybody because they have to pretend like it's not true because that's what Ethan Klein wants them to say, right? Ethan Klein wants the benefit of DGG and their brigading and DGG. And the thing is, it's falling apart. He's buying a depreciated asset and tainting himself. So, and like, just to wrap this up, this is kind of just reality. To wrap this up, Ethan Klein is basically getting the small boost from like Hassan haters, right? While he's clearing out his own community. Like Ethan Klein has, like, I can tell you this, chat, on Reddit was a no man's land for me. Like the DGG brigades for me were so bad that any mention of me on Reddit had, 1,000 comments from DGGers raging. Now that's turning around. And that right there, as somebody who has been, involuntarily at war with DGG for 6 years, they're fucking losing motion. Because a lot of the guys are using this as a wake-up call that Destiny's just not the guy, right? And it's just funny to see him be the last victim of Destiny. Truly the last victim of Destiny.
Ela sent a message, wanted you to see this.
I used to randomly get TikToks of Destiny, and now all the comments are filled with him being called a sex criminal. I mean, keep it up, chat. Keep it up. Keep it up.
Instagram post.
The artist I wanted to collaborate with decided I don't want to be associated because I'm Israeli. Here's the quote. Sorry, I can't be associated with this company.
There is absolutely no connection to her being an Israeli or her religion. It's just they don't want to be associated with H3H3. And this is what I'm talking about with the bad faith accusations of anti-Semitism and bias from Ethan Klein. A 2-sentence email saying, I'm sorry I can't be associated with this company, thanks for the consideration, is not having to do anything with your nationality or your religion. You're just making it up. And you're lying about this person. And it's disgusting behavior. If anybody can look at this and tell me that this is okay. And Ethan Klein will not address this because he's a lying sack of shit. And that's the most important thing to understand. Ethan Klein's a bad faith liar. And the reason why he's a bad faith liar is because that's what people who support the genocide have to be. If Ethan Klein was honest, and he just said what he believed about the Palestinians, no one would be behind him. So he has to do this bad faith bullshit because he needs to manipulate people. Sarah Payne showed up on my feed last night. That kind of person scares me much more than the Trump crowd. Who? I don't know who that is.
Thanks for considering. I followed them for years, always supported them, and I have an ongoing painting of his at my house. When we talk about how serious the rise in anti-Semitism is, this is why it's scary for us. It's now so casual to just not want to associate with an Israeli just because I was born there. And this is.
And by the way, there's no evidence of that. They're just saying that. At no point did this guy say, I hate Israelis. He just said, I don't want to be associated with your company. And now they're just lying on this guy.
This is the result of Hassan's type of activism.
I'm just annoyed because it's not the first one. There's another person right now that is doing the same thing to me, somebody that I'm already working with.
This is the result of this activism that this is the result of Hassan's activism. This is what it resounds to. Alienation, hate, racism, and zero fucking progress.
But guys, you said that Yoav Gallant international war criminal, is a good guy, at least 100,000 Palestinians have been killed. Like, what are you talking about, man? October 7th was a terrible terrorist attack, and a lot of innocent people died on it. But what happened to Gaza as a result is 100 times more worse. 100 times. So, like, what the fuck are you talking about, man? No connection with Hassan at all. They just say it's Hassan. No connection with her being an Israeli. They say it's an Israeli. How do people watch this shit?
People in Gaza. Zero. I mean,
he actively didn't help make sure we don't get Trump in office.
By the way, the whole Trump wants to ethnically cleanse Gaza is not going to happen. And the reason why it's not going to happen is because the Jordanians and the Egyptians are not going to let it happen. Why? Because if 2 million Gazans are forced into their country, there's going to be a goddamn revolution. We've got 2 military dictatorships we're funding to protect Israel, where we destroyed a democracy in Egypt. We've created a puppet kingdom in Jordan. They can't absorb 2 million Palestinians. You think Palestinians going into Egypt would be an intelligent thing for fucking Israel? Can you imagine Palestinians with Egyptian passports or Jordanian passports? Like, imagine those Gazans. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Do you want to make Hamas an international terrorist group? Do you want to see massive wars and civil wars in the surrounding countries? Are you insane? And the blowback against the United States and the blowback against Israel would make October 7th look like patty cake. It's one of the most insane things that has ever been said. It's wild because that's what Israelis want. That's what Benjamin Netanyahu wants. Benjamin Netanyahu and Yoav Gallant and all these fascist Israeli government officials, they want to ethnically cleanse Gaza and take the land. Donald Trump is a dumb fuck and thinks that that's possible. How do you ethnically cleanse? You're going to have to use force against civilians. You're going to have to mow down civilians. It's batshit crazy. If you think Assad, and by the way, the actual effect of what's happening in Gaza, like what's actually happening on the ground, is a ceasefire. Hostages are being released. Gazans are returning to their homes. There's a lot of bluster from Donald Trump, and that is distracting from the facts on the ground, which that the war is ending. And if Donald Trump and his dumbass Elon Musk cut off USAID to Jordan and Egypt, Israel is actually in much more vulnerable position because of the bungling and stupidity of Donald Trump. So if our goal is to reverse American interference in the world, Donald Trump, by bungling and being a dumb fuck, is helping that goal. What about the West Bank? The West Bank is exactly the same as it is under Joe Biden. Exactly the same. There's no difference between what's happening in the West Bank now versus what was happening under Joe Biden. That's a fact.
So
that's what I'm saying, yeah.
No, I hope he's happy with, like, Trump.
Did you see Sisi saying if Trump stops military aid to Egypt, the peace treaty with Israel is over because the aid is part of the peace deal? Of course it is. The thing is, Sisi is a dictator. He isn't God. In order for Sisi and the military dictatorship of Egypt to stay in power, they have to have some level of legitimacy with the population, or at least have them in awe. If they're getting cut off from military arms and equipment and aid and cash from the United States, they're going to reorient themselves in a direction that is more in line with what the population wants, which is, I don't know if you know this, stricter diplomatic positioning against Israel.
Plenty that we're going to get there. There should be a Hassan Street there, the Hassan Square.
That's a good point. Hassan Piker Way.
So, friend of the show, North Star Radio, has published a new video called Ethan Klein's Content Nuke has backfired beautifully. So let's watch friend of the show, North Star Radio, and let's get going. Warning, everything said in this video is simply an opinion. This video is for educational purposes only. I am not associated with Ethan Klein or H3, and everything said in this video is speculation based on my own observation. Warning. Eddie,
I've never in my entire career been against such a dishonest, like hateful, persistently,
Capital
like they're dirty, they don't care, they'll outwardly lie. This is an ongoing like joke with this community. These are just benign dudes. Just I don't know what the they're doing. It looks like they're doing charity or something. It looks like they've got water or boxes or something, like they're helping. This is what it is online. Hassan's community are the most psychotic.
We should do an H3 Snark viewing party of this. We should do an H3 Snark viewing party. Go post an H3 Snark viewing party with Mike. Get in here. Get in here, H3 Snarkers. I have to say, like, I've seen a lot of subreddits that are about criticizing people before, or you know, or anti so and so. And I have to say, the H3 Snark subreddit is the most well-moderated, intelligent, and honestly reasonable anti-fan subreddit I've ever seen. They aren't just like freaking out and schizo posting. They're not leaking, you know, personal information. They're not obsessing or making things up. It's just like a clearinghouse of all of H3, you know, H3's various, I would say, crimes and gaffes and bad behavior over the years. You know, that's kind of my feeling about H3 Snark. And when you compare it to something like Destiny's community, or the stuff, you know, the freaks that Ethan Klein associates with, it's his information from, it's night and day. Just the quality of the person is night and day. And, you know, if H3 Snark does something wrong, I'll be happy to point it out. You know, I'm not associated with them. It's not my community. I'm not a mod there. You know, if I want to know something about Ethan Klein, the H3 Snark subreddit is going to tell me the truth. Good faith criticism. It's rare these days. Honestly, Ethan Klein should be thankful that so much of the criticism of him is based on what he does and says, not just, you know, making fun of his appearance or lying about his personal relationships. Seeing Destiny threads on LSF, I wonder how long people will keep repeating the same shit about the drama before anyone got bored of seeing all the same comments on all threads. If clips get regularly posted on there and end up on front page, either he gets banned from the subreddit or people eventually give up from sheer exhaustion. No, either way, a win-win in my eyes. Oh my god, Omega Lol, bro, this account is so sus. Omega Lol, one of the accounts calling Destiny is sex pest is in every LSF post. Pepe, a personal favorite. Seems like every Destiny LSF post is brigaded by sex pest. Exact words. Is this a Hassan operation since he covered it? Personally, guys, I think you should keep it up. I think you guys should keep it up. I mean, who wants to see Destiny posts anyway? Right? Like, everybody should be aware of this. And the reason why you should be made aware of it is Destiny is really good at lying and posting anti-Trump slop, right? Or like anti-MAGA slop. And the last thing we want is for the opposition to Donald Trump to be associated with a sex pest. Somebody who could be so easily discredited and be used to kind of like taint the movement overall. So everybody should be aware of what Destiny is and who Destiny is so that nobody is confused about what the fuck, you know, who he is. So if they decide to associate with him anyway, they're doing so knowingly and they're damning themselves. I don't like to see, like, there's, like, I'm not a liberal. I'm ideologically opposed to liberals, but I don't want to see good faith liberal people who just are wrong about the issues become associated with this criminal. I want only people that are knowingly doing it and ignoring the many victims he has to do it. So I know that those people are scumbags. So it's very important that everybody always knows. Whenever you see a Destiny post, bam, sex pest. This guy, you know, sexually approached his fans, you know, underage, you know, he said that he found underage girls sexually attractive, like all sorts of stuff like that. It needs to be known. And you should only post things that you can verify and that you can provide clips of. But it needs to be known in every clip you see of Destiny. Stale 2000 business is in session. Please shut the fucking exit or you lose your entire purpose of LSF mod. So in other words, I guess they have a DGGer that's still a Destiny fan taking orders in the chat. God, holy am I crazy thinking getting banned for doing a Sig Heil as a joke is fucking absurd? What the fuck is going on with the soy LSF shit? Guys, it's soy to ban people for doing Hitler salutes. It's soy for doing Hitler salute, getting in trouble for doing Hitler salutes. Something that is like a crime in some countries. It's soy to get a couple day ban. Damn, Ethan catching so much heat on LSF for no reason, lol. Is LSF just completely taken over by Hassan's fans now? Omega lol, that H3 thread is insane. Keep it up. Keep it up. If we could turn Reddit around, we're winning, baby. How did LSF become so pro Hassan? Look at how much they brigade this shit. They're complaining about brigades as they're doing their brigade chat. Oh my God. Wow, DGG have so much Reddit braid groupthink. They think other communities are as groupthink as they are. They really have no concept of organic disagreement on the grounds of the facts of the matter. People who are angry about IRL sex crimes must be a hater fan. People are disagreeing with Sig Heils for a joke. Damn, they must be some sensitive, overtly woke people. I don't know why. Even to this day, I think they must get some pushback at DGG. They're at least nominally liberal. They're not liberal. DGG is not liberal. It's a Destiny fan community. Destiny Posh is not liberal either. He just postures as a liberal in order to get people, you know, who are paying attention to politics to look at him. That's all it is. He doesn't believe in anything. It's very important for you to understand this. He doesn't believe in anything. He's not philosophically grounded. He doesn't believe in fucking anything other than nihilistic egoism. It's like how Mike postures he's a lawyer. Like that, for example, is just a lie. I never did that. A Democrat, a functionary, put lawyer as my profession right after I graduated law school on a petition for office that I was running for. The Democratic Party did that, not me. But that doesn't matter. It was my petitions, right? I won at the trial court level. I won at the appeals court level. The Republican Party appealed to the Supreme Court, and a Republican Supreme Court took me off the ballot. And guess what? I was off the ballot from May 5th, 2014 to May 22nd, 2014. What happened on May 22nd, 2014 to get me back on the ballot? I won the Democratic Party primary with a write-in campaign. Do you know how hard that is to do, you dumb fuck? While the Republican Party was spending tens of thousands of dollars to try to defeat me in the write-in, they lost. So you're trying to say I lied about something 11 years ago now. That was a 3-week period, and you're bringing that up. You think that matters to anybody? Why are you bringing that up, dumb fuck? Because you don't give a shit about it. You're exactly the point. You're exactly the point of the matter is you don't fucking care. You don't fucking care about the truth. You're just a psychotic fucking loser. You should actually do it. And stop, like, do it. Get a life.
People on the internet.
He's a liar, dude.
Like,
I hate
get
to
a life. Seriously.
say it, but I do think it's related. I mean, it's kind of like, it's kind of Stalinist. The way that they'll just lie and say anything to frame anyone for anything.
It had just been discovered around the same time as this Arab tier list that Twitch had secretly, without announcing it anywhere, banned the entire country of Israel from creating new accounts.
Honestly, Twitch should sue. The company said it received 100,000 mobile verified signups from Israel over the past 12 months and saw a 95% increase in hours watched in the reason. So they're just lying. He just lied about that. Ethan Klein just lied about Twitch.
They're just like in too deep on whatever the certain narrative is that they're committed to. I feel like the reason I brought it up was mainly to express the frustration with Bibi and him firing the one guy that was somewhat, you know, attempting at moderation. It wasn't.
He's a war criminal. Yoav Galan is not a moderated person. He's a war criminal. Maybe in the Israeli politics of it's genocidal war criminal to genocidal war criminal, he's a war criminal.
Really so much to say Gallant is a good guy. I shouldn't have used that word. That was a bad choice on my part, considering stuff that he has said that I was not even thinking of. There's no room
okay, I'm
to
glad
like
that Hila, I'm glad that Hila backpedaled there, but you still said he's moderate.
They have to win.
Anything that deviates a little bit from like, no, this is the bad guy, this is the good guy.
All right, so these guys are clearly the bad guys.
There's nothing in between.
The projection, the visual metaphor of them being projected onto a sheet is amazing. Member of the bar here, if you graduate law school, you're a lawyer, not just not an attorney. Well, Dennis, that's what the trial court and appeals court said, if you look at my case. But the Republican Supreme Court decided that that's not the case. They said they created fresh law and said, if you are not currently in Pennsylvania, if you're not currently an active bar member, you can't call yourself a lawyer. Just in Pennsylvania, by the way, because of me. If you're a retired attorney, you can't say you're an attorney. If you're just graduated from law school, you can't say you're a lawyer. You cannot because of me. That was all made up. Oh, man. Anyway, and oh, just as a side note for anybody who doesn't know, this is like the big scandal people try to use against me. The Republicans who threw me off the ballot, again, I was off the ballot for 3 weeks before winning the Democratic primary because Democrats in my community were so pissed off at the bullshit fucking decision. I won a write-in campaign. Those Republican judges all got thrown off the court because they got caught sending like porn and bestiality porn and like racist emails, like with Obama with a bone in his nose. So like there was a major Pennsylvania Supreme Court scandal. You can go look it up. And almost every judge who voted against me is now off the court. And because of the scandals, there's now a left-wing Supreme Court in Pennsylvania. And I helped elect multiple members of that left-wing majority in Pennsylvania. So, as usual, everybody who hates me is a sex creep. Everybody who fucks with me gets exposed as a pedophilic sex creep. It's very funny. Here, let me show you what I'm talking about.
Michael Aiken is stepping down from the bench over a scandal involving pornographic emails. Aiken has served on the Pennsylvania Supreme Court since 2002. Attorney General Kathleen Kane has been releasing hundreds of offensive emails allegedly sent by Aiken and others. Aiken is now the second member of the High Court to quit in connection with this scandal in the last 18 months. Judge Seamus McCaffrey retired in 2014 after he was suspended by the court for the emails he sent.
So it was like instantaneous revenge for me. Instantaneous revenge. Like they threw me off the court off bullshit, or threw me off the ballot off bullshit. I won the primary anyway with a write-in 3 weeks later, and then a bunch of them got thrown off the court for being sex freaks. Total Mike victory. Now, and then Destiny found it out because, you know, they searched for me. Like when Destiny was mad that he lost 6 debates to me on the issues, he was so furious. He decided to do like research into me, see if he could find any scandals. And he found some of the like right wing attacks that were launched against me because I was running in a, you know, relatively competitive district. Now, a Democrat has not won in the 5 elections since I was there. I pretty much proved that district was gerrymandered. Like it was freshly gerrymandered, so we didn't know just how unwinnable it really was. That was kind of like a test race, and the district is unwinnable, right? It's a Republican gerrymandered district. It is what it is. They got rid of a large section of a city of Allentown, which is part of it, and traded it for like rural, you know, exurban districts that lean Trump, right? So you know, that's what happened to that district. So no one's won there, right? And 2014 was a bad year to run anyway. So it's not like, oh man, Mike did really bad in that district. Look how winnable it is. It's like, this is an unwinnable gerrymandered district. It is what it is. I ran as a 29-year-old, so I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. And nobody has won it since. So it's not like I fucked up something. It's just an unwinnable district. It happens. It was a good lesson for me. And so I was able to go on and help people win winnable seats and winnable races with the experience that I got. And so that's just like how life works in politics, right? You know, not everything is winnable. You're not going to win every time. Bernie Sanders got his ass kicked multiple times running for office. Now he's the most popular national political figure. Losing is part of the lesson. If you're not ever losing, you never ran for anything difficult. You know that Barack Obama lost? Barack Obama ran for Congress and lost. So like even some of the most talented politicians as far as electoral politics, they run for offices and lose. It's just the way it goes. What percentage did I get? Like 40%. It was not. It was a pretty red district. The 2014 was a really red year. That's just how it goes. How did you get into local politics? Basically, once I finished law school, I moved back to where I went to high school, my hometown, and there's this really cool Democrat organizer who they wanted to have a candidate in that district, and she reached out to me, and I was like, I'll do it. Fuck it. I hate that piece of shit. So, and I ran. I decided to go for it. Unfortunately, if you don't remember what 2014 was like, 2014 was the worst year ever to be a Democrat candidate. In Pennsylvania, not one Democrat challenger won their race. Not one. You know, it is what it is.
Story. They have a story that they cannot deviate from.
That's enough about me. I mean, I'm sure you guys have heard all this shit before. But it's always good to clear the air on this stuff. Like if you think like Mike is some sort of fraud and liar, and it's like one of the key ways they try to poison the well. And I'm very comfortable talking about this stuff because I want you to know about it, because it's good to know that I have that experience. I know it works. Am I considering running for office again? No, not in the immediate short term. I wouldn't run as a Democrat. I can't stand the Democrats.
Yeah.
No matter what. The artist I wanted to collaborate with decided I don't want to be associated because I'm Israeli. When we talk about how serious the rise in anti-Semitism, this is why it's scary for us. It's now so casual to just not want to associate with an Israeli just because I was born there. And this is the result of Hassan's type of activism. This is the result of this activism that this is the result of Hassan's activism. This is what it resounds to. This is the fault of people like Hassan. Zero progress for people in Gaza.
Last week, Ethan Klein released the long-awaited
Mike,
content.
I know nothing about you. It can't easily find things about you. Okay. That's okay. You could ask.
Nuke on Hassan Piker. His magnum opus, 2 months in the making, designed to end the career of Hassan Piker.
Would you encourage people to work on a campaign before they run for local office? Of course. That's if you want to run for office, the first thing you should do is find a local progressive or socialist candidate that you believe in and help them run. Because then you'll understand that running for office is a beyond full-time commitment, and it's a soul-sucking experience. It's humiliating, it's difficult, it's painful, but it'll embed you deeply in the community with the people that know the community best. And you'll actually meet your neighbors, and you'll meet other activists, and you'll meet other people, and you'll do the work, and people will trust you because they'll have seen you in the trenches, you know, and being the type of person that will help someone else before you try to launch your own campaign is the stuff that will make other people want to support you. So you're not on your own, and then, you know, it's impossible for you to win. Remember when we were investigating Joshua for Congress and found out he was playing League all day? I never heard you so angry. Yeah, Joshua for Congress was a fucking fraud. And because I ran for office, I knew he was a fucking loser as soon as I talked to him. Was he at least a decent rank? No. Oh, by the way, chat, look at this. Chat, you want to see something incredible? You want to see something incredible? Look at that. Look at that. That's not me, that's Vio. You thought I grinded? You think I'm grinding ranked all day? That's Vio. That's Vio. Vio is a rocket main. Vio is a rocket main. Vio is very, very good at rocket. Did you see that the media black hole is getting close to Super Earth in Helldivers? Oh shit, I might need to play some Helldivers again. Vio is 1,000,000 times better of a gamer than Hassan. Oh yeah. Vio is a good gamer. Like, Vio is legitimately a good gamer. Not as good as me, of course, but a good gamer nonetheless.
And anyone else in his political Twitch streaming orbit. Well, not anyone. Mostly just Arabs and Arab women in particular. This video, from a metric standpoint, was a success. I mean, the H3 podcast hasn't hit 1 million views in 3 months, the last 1 million view video being entirely about Hassan. Ethan seemed to notice this trend and decided to go all out on a 2-hour crash out content nuke to get it all off his chest. Or so we hoped, as the last 3 episodes of the H3 podcast have also been entirely about Hassan Piker. And in those 3 episodes, Ethan has really dug his own grave, showing us all that he truly is a shell of his former self.
Someone who has any sort of kindness in their heart.
I'm unkind now.
Wait, what is he talking about?
I'm a meanie head. Because he says, you have to be a total meanie head to make that video he made about me, which I haven't watched. Did you just call me a meanie head?
What? We're talking about kindness?
Yeah, are we doing...
We're way past that, Hassan. We hate you.
Yeah, no, it's...
Did you not get the memo?
I mean, what...
Wow, they hate Hassan. They hate Hassan. See, you know what makes people hate you more than anything? When you hold up a mirror to their... when you hold up a mirror to their flaws. What makes people hate you more than ever is if they're a narcissist and they break up with you. The best revenge against a narcissist is living well. They'll never forgive you for just moving on and brushing them off. And that is the crime that Ethan Klein is. Ethan Klein is like, I said that you are wrong for not supporting Israel's war on Gaza. Therefore, I am done with you. And Hassan was like, okay, bet. And he became even more popular than before. He said, I disagree with you guys on this. Israel is in the wrong. This is a genocide of Gaza. And if you don't want to work with me on that, if you can't move on beyond that, goodbye. And they've been brain broken ever since. And it's the same thing with Destiny, right? I'm sorry to bring Destiny up, but they're related. It's the same thing happening again. We did the same thing with Destiny. Destiny's like, I'm done with Mike. I'm done with Hassan. When I was a 200 viewer Andy, he was like, you're not allowed to post about Mike or talk about Mike. He just uses me in debates to get more viewers. And I was like, okay, bet. And we went off on our own. And now I'm bigger now on Twitch than Destiny was when he quit. Like as far as live concurrent viewership. We just don't give a fuck. We moved on and we were like, okay, bye. And so when you move on beyond these narcissists and you just say, okay, bye, and you live well and you succeed and you're happy, that is what causes them to fixate. So Ethan Klein is never going to stop fixating on Hassan. Like if you're an Ethan Klein fan, in your heart of hearts, you're like, well, maybe he'll get back to comedy. He will not. He's going to sit there and fixate on Hassan and spiral and spiral and spiral and spiral. And that's just the way it's going to be forever. It's unfortunate, but, you know, Ethan doesn't have a lot of friends. You know what I mean? He doesn't have a lot of people that are his equal, right? And Hassan was one of those people that was an equal of his, was a friend of his, not an employee, not someone he can give orders to, but a collaborator, a friend. And when he lost that, he doesn't have a lot of those. So and there's not a lot of people passing into that circle as I'm a friend of Ethan. I'm an equal of Ethan that he has to treat with respect up here. He doesn't have those. He has minions. He has sycophants. He has employees. He has maids. He has nannies. He has Dans, right? He doesn't have equals. He doesn't have people with self-respect who could push back. And so he's going to be fixated on Hassan for a long time. I understand because I fumbled a bad bitch too once. We are proud of everything you've experienced on here, Michael. You've come a very long way, but with you, it's worth noting that we've been trying to reach you regarding your vehicle's extended warranty. Please press 0 to speak to an agent now. I don't need one. I'm still on my original warranty. Thank you. Sorry. I'm a rich streamer. My car is still under the original warranty, so I don't need an extended one. Thank you.
It's kind about telling survivors that they're
Jerkstore, thank you for the tier 1. Hey, chat, it's a founder. Jerkstore is one of my original subscribers, chat. That's crazy. He was here on like one of my first few streams. That's an old chatter. The Jerkstore. Welcome back, brother. August 6th, 2019. That's pretty crazy. If you want to know about my community and how consistent I am and how I'm not an asshole, I have original subscribers on my channel from fucking like almost 6 years ago, 5.5 years ago. They're still here. You posted Chinese. I can't read Chinese, sir. Hold on, chat. I like chicken nuggets and socialism with Chinese characteristics. Same.
I'm currently working on a video going point by point through the content nuke and debunking the obviously incorrect claims. But today, I just want to take a quick look.
JD Vance didn't vaccinate his 12-year-old relative and she was denied a heart transplant. JD Vance's 12-year-old relative denied heart transplant because she's unvaccinated. I mean, that's just the way it works. They're not going to give a heart to somebody who is not doing voluntary medical things that reduce their risks. When you have immunosuppressants, you can't, like, that's just... If you're already showing that you're not going to comply with medical directions, they can't give you a heart. That's malpractice. Hey, what's up, Yin Red? How you doing, buddy? Welcome in. That's some evil shit. But I agree with the doctors. They adopted the kid knowing she'd need a heart transplant too, and they decided not to vaccinate. By the way, chat, Ethan Klein is trying to call me fat. Ethan, bro, you have more fat on your cheeks than I do in my gut. Like, what are you talking about? Bro, like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Good Lord.
At the fallout of this nuke. Because Hassan is still averaging 40,000 live viewers, Ethan is still widely hated by the internet, and Ela Klein is losing business partnerships. The content nuke aimed for Hassan has backfired in an incredibly satisfying manner.
I wonder which Fiverr visual designer he bought this from. You think Ethan Klein made this? Hey, Ethan, who made this? Which artist made this? You think that's not shitty Adobe AI? I mean, maybe.
Today's broadcast is brought to you by viewers like you. Become a member today and unlock exclusive content. at patreon.com/NorthstarRadio. On the first episode back, Ethan basically himself off reacting to his own video.
Oh, you missed it? Let me go back.
Oh, yeah, we gotta see that.
I was doing some high level here, Dan. I had to do a tutorial for this part.
Filling a flag in the middle of campus, carried it to a mob by the gate that were communicating with the angry mobs outside of campus.
Untrained, inbred asses shipped into southern Lebanon, telling us that we are all inbred and that we have no culture.
Oh, again.
I believe it was a some kind of block swipe.
Yeah, block.
Yeah.
Very good.
And this is where Ethan's cognitive state comes into question, because this dude is so clearly not doing okay. While reacting to Hassan's response to the content nuke,
Like, will your VODs ever be public again? I like having them as an incentive for subscribers, and also making it harder for people who just who get banned to make random accounts, just try to clip things out of context. I like adding a difficulty. You know what I mean? Anything I could do to add difficulty to people who are annoying is always good. You should probably just get gifted a sub. If you watch my stream, you'll probably get gifted a sub. And if you watch my stream a lot, you should probably just pay me $6. I mean, like, it's not even a fucking... You can't even get like a lunch for $6 anymore. It's like once a month. Like, come on.
Ethan claims that he's never tried to be a comedian.
Very intelligent. Definitely not a hack ass, failed ass,
I just got here and I got gifted. There you go.
Comedian.
Look at that.
Bro, I've never tried to be a comedian, a failed comedian. What are you talking about? It's not even a sore spot for me or anything, because I'm not a comedian. I've never tried to be a professional comedian.
This is despite Ethan calling himself a professional comedian over a dozen times throughout his career.
I'm a comedian. That's my job.
I'm a comedian, right? I'm trying to make a joke. I know it looks crazy.
I'm a comedian and people are laughing. Unlike you, I'm a comedian, not a journalist, so I have a little more leeway. I'm a comedian, you know what I mean? I criticize people. I'm a comedian.
The reason why Ethan calls himself a comedian is not because he's actually funny. It's because he wants to be able to say shit without having any journalistic ethics, without having the responsibility of making sure it's accurate, without the responsibility of correcting himself if he's wrong. He's not a comedian because he's haha funny. He's a comedian because he's lazy and he thinks that that's an out. He gets to talk about all of the, you know, current affairs and issues and state opinions, but when it's proven that he's made those opinions based off of bullshit, he could just throw his hands up and go, "I'm just a little boy comedian. I'm a small bean," as if that frees him from the responsibility to tell the truth. That makes defamation okay. Chaotic. Thanks for the 10 tier 1s. And so he can make racial jokes and call it edgy. He's a comedian in the same sense you were a lawyer? No. Actually, no. I was definitely much more of a lawyer than he was a comedian. Like, for example, I practiced in securities arbitration. You know, like, I actually had clients before, you know, in my securities arbitration work. I like, you know what I mean? Like, I worked at the Committee of Urban Affairs working with, you know, attorneys writing legislation. Like, so that's wrong. Like, I've done more with the law, both educationally and professionally, than he's ever done with comedy, right? Has Ethan ever done a set? Has Ethan ever gone to an open mic?
First of all, I'm a comedian, so anything I
really
say
good comparison.
being considered defamation is almost like impossible. I had an idea, you know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. I'm a comedian, you know, I'm out here, I'm in different lanes. I'm a professional comedian. Are any of them? I'm a professional comedian, you know what I mean? I'm the last line of defense, okay? I'm a professional comedian. Do you know that?
You know you're winning the debate when you start bringing up theories about Hassan's dog, Kaya, or who cooks him food off camera.
Comedian, in air quotes.
Ooh! Ooh!
I didn't even hear what you said.
Not funny.
Air quotes.
Not funny. Just like you're a socialist. By the way, theory time, and I'm pretty sure I'm right. It's on.
Average person discussing socialist theory has never read a book. If you've never read a book in your entire life, I don't respect you. There, I said it. There, I said it. If you've never read one book, it can be a stupid book. It could be a bodice ripper. It could be Goosebumps. I don't give a fuck. If you never read a book, that's just sad. Read a fucking book.
John says he adopted his dog. He went all over LA looking for the perfect dog. Oh, I went to all of these pounds. I couldn't find the perfect dog.
First of all, can I just say for a second that Ethan Klein is fucking stupid? Can I just say straight off, you're a dumb fuck? There is absolutely nothing wrong with trying to find the dog that'll work with your family and will enhance your life and making sure it's a good fit. Like, that's you're a fucking loser, dude. You're taking on the responsibility for a creature for the next 10, 12, 15 years of your life. There's absolutely nothing wrong with taking it slow, making sure it fits in, making sure it fulfills your needs, because dogs can do jobs as well, and they can enhance your life. Like, if you're a famous person or a micro celebrity, having a dog that's a little bit larger, who will bark, who will guard your homes from fucking psychos and freaks, like, you know, is a valuable asset. They can help protect the family while being a companion. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. In fact, it's probably a good idea for safety. Like, what the fuck are you doing, man? This is just weird shit. I mean, you killed your dog by feeding it too much cheese, and you're gonna talk about other people respectfully and responsibly choosing the right companion? You are a fucking loser. Bro, he did what? Yes, I know. He had this dog and he fed it too much cheese and it like died.
But then magically,
got really sick. I can't remember which one.
Off camera, I found on Craigslist this post where they were giving away $20,000 designer dogs. And I was so lucky. Hassan Piker.
Okay, what's the evidence that Kaya is a $20,000 designer dog? What is the evidence that she's a $20,000 designer dog? Is he just making this up? What, like, this is where I got the idea that Ethan Klein killed his dog.
Apparently, like, sodium is really fucking bad for their kidney. And I never heard that. And I was giving Shredder, like, cheese. He loves cheese. And I was always sprinkling cheese on his fucking food. And I just wish to fuck. And I'm so pissed at the stupid fucking... Apparently, like, sodium is really fucking bad for their kidney. And I never heard that. And I was giving Shredder, like, cheese. He loves cheese. And I was always sprinkling cheese on his fucking food. And I just wish to fuck. And I'm so pissed at the stupid fucking... Apparently, like, sodium is...
Notice, this is a narcissist. This is actually a good clip of Ethan being a narcissist. Because notice that he did the action that harmed the animal. And then instead of saying, in the future, I need to make sure to be more aware of what my dog needs, and that was a boneheaded mistake, and I feel terrible, and it's my fault, he says, I'm so mad at, I guess, the vet or somebody else, right? It's everybody else's fault than him that he hurt the dog. This man has children. Thank God he hasn't. Like, there's a few people, like, for example, Destiny doesn't live with his son and doesn't really interact with him very much. That's good, right? Like, I'm glad. Like, normally you would be like, oh man, deadbeat dad, you know, you have an internet job. Why aren't you living in the same city as your son? But on the other hand, with Destiny, it's like, good. The less contact you have, the better. With Ethan, it's like, oh my God, I can't believe he has a housekeeper and a nanny and there's like, Ethan Klein is having drama with his staff. He's like an English fucking lord with all the staff that are milling around. There's drama in politics with Ethan Klein's household staff. And normally that would be something to criticize him for. Like, do your own fucking laundry, dude. This isn't 1880 where you have to scrub it, you know, with boiling hot water on a, like, ripple board, right? You just throw it into a fucking washing machine and you put soap in it and you press wash. And then you move it from the washing machine to the dryer and you press dry. Like, it's not exactly super complicated to do laundry in the 21st century, right? But no, it's fine. He can't do his own laundry, right? But in his case, I'm glad because, like, who do you want raising his kids? Ethan Klein or some nanny? I will go with the nanny. His children will have a chance of being empathetic, kind human beings.
Can anybody find me a Craigslist post where they're giving away $20,000 designer dogs? Because I'd like to inquire. He bought that dog, and he doesn't want to admit it, obviously. And by the way, I don't know. That's not the only lie he tells about his personal life. I did a story about it.
This is just, by the way, Ethan Klein begging to be sued by Hassan. Like, he's just lying and defaming Hassan. And this is the tactic of somebody like Ethan Klein. He just makes accusations about you, and then you have to defend yourself. That's and because Ethan Klein is a scumbag and nobody respects his reputation. Like, he doesn't have a reputation, right? This is an advantage for Ethan. Like, nobody's gonna go like, wow, this guy is you know, he's a really well thought of in the political world, right? So when he makes an accusation, it's zero cost because he doesn't have a reputation. right? So when he trashes me or Hassan or Dems or Frogan or anyone else, it's from a position of we can't fight back because how can you damage Ethan Klein's reputation? It's in the dumps. But he does have an audience, right? And that audience will, spread that information to people who do have reputations, and then they'll get this idea about people. That's the whole plan. That's the Destiny Klein plan. They don't have a reputation of their own. This guy's in blackface. He's got an N-word compilation longer than any other compilation of his comedy. Like, there's nothing we can do to damage Ethan Klein's reputation. Ethan Klein's reputation is non-existent. But he can go around and just spread lies about everybody. And now the response is, oh, if it's not true, then give us, show us your whole bank account so we can investigate it for non-socialist purposes. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about, man? Kaya is a Tibetan Mastiff, Chow Chow, and St. Bernard cross. So no, you can buy that breed mix for $2K. I mean, that's a mutt.
But people didn't pick it up. I don't give a fuck. This guy's a piece of shit. People need to ask Hassan who's cooking his chicken off screen. Who's cooking that chicken? Who's taking care of him?
Kaya was literally rehomed from another family. They decided against keeping her because of their newborn.
Something he goes, don't tell anyone though, for obvious reasons. Somebody's cooking his chicken, and they don't look like they're getting a piece of the pie either. You know what I mean? They're not on that socialist. They're not on that socialized workplace salary. You know what I mean? Cooking chicken's a big deal. That's integral to his daily routine. Of course she's entitled to a % of his profits. Duh. Socialism, bro. Live it, bro. Live it.
Dan hitting the chicken sound effect.
Be the socialist you say you are.
Failure to provide meal and rest period. Failure to pay overtime. For failure to pay state and local minimum wage. Failure to pay all wages due. Uh-oh.
I think this is an important time to mention that it's well-known lore that Ethan was neglected as a child and was often sent to school.
That makes so much sense. Honestly, Ethan, do you need a hug, man? Do you need a hug?
With zero food to eat and zero lunch money.
My parents didn't take care of me as a kid when they cooked, which was rare.
Aren't his parents rich? Like, I remember him talking about when he was gonna the one clip I saw of Hassan, the one thing that I ever saw of his content before Leftovers was his proposal story. You guys know his proposal story? Basically, his mom, made it happen. So she showed up one day with like a handful of like diamond rings. Like, she pulled from her like jewelry box a handful of diamond rings and said, pick one of these rings and go propose to Gila right now. And he took one of the rings and he put it into a butt wipes package, and he went to the bath and he put it on like the table, and then he went and took a shit, and then he called out to Gila, hey Gila, can you bring me butt wipes? There's none in the shitter. And so she came in and he said, open the butt wipes. And she opened it and the ring was there. And he said, will you marry me? With his pants around his ankles, taking a shit. But the important part of that story is that he had a handful of rings. He had a handful of rings. Somebody could find the story. I'm pretty sure that's how it went down. I'm going by memory here. There might be some details that are, I don't know. Maybe he didn't actually take a shit. I don't know. That's the one. I don't know if he was really taking a shit or he's pretending to take a shit. I'm not sure about that. Either way, it's either one of the two. But the important part of the story, to rewind, was his mom showing up with like handfuls of diamond rings. So his mom, I don't think they were poor, right? Gila also says she hates that story.
It was just awful. I didn't eat. I would starve. It was that bad. I used to go to school. My parents wouldn't give me money, and they didn't.
Let's be real as well. Gila looks exactly like his mother. I don't know what his mother looks like.
Make me a lunch. I would just starve. I would beg for food.
Mike, he wasn't shitting, and it was literally old trash rings worth nothing. Oh, okay. That might be true.
From my friends. Straight up, I would beg for food from my friends. I was fair enough. Homeless child.
Ethan can't even fathom the idea of a loving parent.
His whole shtick for the past year has been saying liberal Zionist talking points and then getting mad at everyone when they go, are you a Zionist?
What liberal... Bro, the fantasy world that they've built is incredible. What liberal Zionist talk? What is a liberal Zionist talking?
That's why, like, talking about politics with these uneducated internet fucking dorks that got famous because they did YouTube first or streaming first. It's like talking to Ethan or talking to Asmongold. They have like a elementary school level education, like failed out of middle school social studies level education. I mean, it's like legitimately, and like they don't even have the wherewithal to be embarrassed about it. This is like if somebody started asking me about the history of blues. I don't know. If somebody's like, hey, Mike, what's the latest dance music craze? I don't know. You're never going to hear me talking about that shit because I don't know. It's like, Mike, what's the best strategy in, what's the sport that I know nothing about? Field hockey. I don't know. Cricket. I don't know. I don't play those games. I don't watch those games. What is liberal Zionism? Okay. Liberal Zionism. Liberal Zionism, although not associated with any single party in modern Israel, remains a strong trend in Israeli politics advocating free market principles, democracy, and adherence to human rights. Liberal Zionism, a pillar of Israel's settler colonial project. The failure of liberal Zionism, David Klein. The Israel-Hamas war and the return of liberal Zionism, Vox. On empathy and other liberal Zionist canards. The unraveling of liberal Zionism. In defense of liberal Zionism. Like, it's a major political strain within the history of Israel. Just read. I mean, you're going to inject yourself into discussions about Israel and politics and you don't know basic shit?
Ethan did so much research for this video, but has yet to understand what a liberal Zionist talking point is. Here are just a few examples.
People who would like to criticize the army in Israel need to understand that it's a daily threat that something needs to happen about it. It's not like we have a choice.
When you talk about privilege, let's talk about someone who's going to UC Berkeley, paid by their parents $200,000 tuition on campus protesting Israel. Do you find?
Please don't go through with the things that aren't established, like his parents' wealth. It's low-hanging fruit for these freaks. Enough fucked up shit that's confirmed. You know what I mean? No, you're totally right. I want to apologize for speculating about his parents' wealth. I don't know if his parents are poor or not. I don't know. I honestly don't know. You're right. I don't know anything about Ethan. Honestly, I was not an Ethan watcher. I don't know anything about Ethan. So if Ethan gave up, if his parents gave him a bunch of trash rings, I don't know. I was going off this of half-remembered story. I don't know if they're poor or not. I really don't. And it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter if they were poor or not. Woke of the day? No, the person's right. I shouldn't give them low-hanging fruit. Like, Ethan Klein will never, ever address what I'm saying on the merits. He will try to find low-hanging fruit or any kind of detail about his biography to talk about that I don't know because I'm not a fan and I don't watch him. Ethan's grandfather was a writer for the TV show Dallas. Oh. Yeah, don't post stuff about his family, guys. You're just going to... Don't post like links to his family and stuff like that because you're just going to get us in trouble. As a former H3 fan, I think he was like upper middle class coming up. Oh, is that right? Okay. I mean, maybe he'll be able to tell. My family, I'll tell you about my family. My mom had me when she was 22 years old, and my dad was a military officer. So when I was the first child, right? And when I was growing up, they didn't have a ton of money, but my mom was a stay-at-home mom and took care of us. And, I was never homeless, but, they didn't have a lot of extra money, right? And my dad was frequently set, overseas. It is what it is, When I was leaving home, my dad finally got a really good career. He retired from the military, and then he got a really good career. So when I left home, my parents were just becoming really successful in their own lives. When I left home in 2002, they were like on the upswing, right? My mom wasn't even 40 yet. If you want to understand like how young my parents were. So they were starting to have like a success in life. But I was gone. They didn't give me any money. I got a full ride to go to school, to undergrad. They never gave me $1 for school. They may have given me a little bit of money over the years, but like, oh, I don't have enough money for rent. Can I borrow $500? Oh, I need filling in my tooth. Can I borrow $100? Like, that's the type of stuff. Like, my parents didn't give me shit. That's not true of my sisters, but I don't give a fuck. It is what it is. But like, now now they're doing great. Now they're successful and I'm happy for them. But like, I paid for my whole law school. I paid for, I paid for my schooling. They didn't pay shit. I took on all that debt. I went to public schools my entire life because I couldn't afford anything else.
Find that ironic?
Link to video? Oh yeah, good point. Can you pin this?
I personally think it's so ironic. I don't know. It's kids sitting here in like beautiful California criticizing it, like you don't even know what you're talking about.
What you hear is people criticizing national security and calling Israel like apartheid, and that they shouldn't have fences, or that Israel should be a one state with Palestinians and Israel's all living together. They should reduce the borders and remove the gate. That to me seems like super ignorant.
It is, because when I grew up, I couldn't really take a bus.
The walls are in the occupied West Bank, man. The walls are in the occupied territory that are not part of Israel, where millions of Israelis are going to settle and take land.
I was afraid of blowing up.
Right.
And now it doesn't really happen. So the wall did help.
Okay, so what they're saying is Israel, if they had a one-state, binational state, where Palestinians and Israelis were all citizens and they all had freedom of conscience, and they live together, that there would be random terrorist attacks on Israeli civilians. This is the exact arguments they made against removing apartheid in South Africa or ending slavery or Jim Crow in the South. It's just not true. It didn't happen.
There's a state of Palestine. It makes sense. But if you're in one state, all that's going to happen is like everybody is trying to bring as many people there as possible. And like by the time... There frankly are a lot of Palestinians, right, in the area. And once the Palestinians outnumber the Jews, basically anything is fair game for the Jews, anything.
So in this response, Hassan calls out Ethan for, quote, crying like a bitch in their last conversation on Palestine.
You can talk to me in person, big dog. You got my phone number. We can have a conversation on your stream. We can have a conversation on my stream. Last time, I had the baby gloves on, and you cried like a after doing Teddy Fresh ads in the midst of our genocide coverage.
Ethan sees this as an opportunity to dunk on Hassan for being some sort of toxic masculinity frat bro.
So Hassan says, last time, which was our last conversation on his stream, I had the baby gloves on, which was part of, I was like, dude, why are you patronizing me? And he goes, and then you cried like a bitch. Once again, this dude is against toxic masculinity. Apparently, he's a role model for leftist values. The frat bro veneer it's rearing its head. I'm telling you.
Ethan Klein being like, oh, he's a frat bro. I think Ethan Klein is kind of appealing to his audience of people who didn't have friends in high school. It's one of the funniest things I get from DGGers in particular is projection. DGGers will reply to me and be like, you're mad because you're an incel. And I'm like, okay, what are you talking about, man? It's like, you're mad because you're a loser. I'm like, what are you talking about, man? I literally work a business that I created for myself on hours I set for myself. I have complete freedom to live anywhere in the world. Long-term relationship, ton of friends that are all hotter than me. Like, how many of you are in friend groups where everyone is hotter than you? That's a W in my book. Like, what are you talking about? You know what I mean? Me, that's right, caught. That's all of us. But it's Alyssa, it's projection. Yes, it's always projection. It's always weird. Like, people say shit to me and I'm like, bro, I try to talk to them. Honestly, when somebody does that, I'm like, okay, why do you think this? Why do you think this? I always try to like understand it. I think it's weird because like I'm a 40-year-old man. I'm a 40-year-old white straight cis man from Pennsylvania in a long-term relationship, and people are trying to razz me for having a beer gut. I'm thin in Pennsylvania. What are you talking about? Have you been to New York? I'm thin in New York City, for fuck's sake. Have you been to Philadelphia? When they see me eat a cheesesteak, they're like, only one cheesesteak, Mike? I'm a Pennsylvania 10. But the reason why I bring this up is because it is funny and I want them to keep doing it. I want them to keep making fun of me. It's like, bro, what do you think this is? Do I need to be an OnlyFans model? Like, what are you talking about? This is politics. This is ugly people, Hollywood. That's what they call, you know what they call Washington, D.C.? Ugly people, Hollywood. I'm a DC 10. Like, what are you talking about? This is great. I think the most powerful thing you could do for yourself in stream, Mike, is to start working out and eating right. I legit can't wait for you to go on that journey. The only reason I would want to get back in the gym is functional strength. Like, I was thinking about getting into, I want to get back into flying. So I was going to look for a gliding club. I've always wanted to get my parachuting license. That was like an old thing of mine. I mean, I know how to. I could fly light planes, and I've flown gliders before. I just want to get back into my old hobbies. And I'm a little bit of an adrenaline guy, so I need to get back into that. I've been very much like with the pandemic, I just became kind of like more online than I was normal to. Don't blow out your knees. I come from a long line of aviators and parachutists, so I'm not worried. The best thing Mike could do for his stream is the hot tub stream he's been promising. True. I just actually imagined parachute and I peed my pants. Adult hockey league. Man, I would be gassed in a hockey shift right now. Am I a coaster junkie? Yeah, I like coasters. They're all right. The pandemic wrecked me and my husband's social life. We're now just getting back into the world. One of the things I want to do, if I'm being like really egomaniacal, is I want to build more left-wing social clubs, just in general. People made fun of the New York City DSA for doing a date night, and I kind of understand why, because anyone else dating is very cringe and embarrassing, and it's fun to make fun of. But I don't think that they were totally off base. Like, I feel like having more social clubs and IRL things that are not just doing work is a good idea. It's what they used to do. Like, if you look at like socialist parties in Europe, they used to do stuff like that. They would have like the socialist daycare. They'd have like the socialist, skeet shooting club, and the socialist rowing club, and the socialist hiking club, and just like stuff like that. Things that you can take care of with like-minded people, so you don't always have to feel like socialism equals work. There's a knitting group that just sprung up my little city, and I was thinking of joining and taking the temperature of it. Yeah. We've been integrating that into our own chapter here. Yeah, that's a good idea. Isn't all daycare socialist by definition? It is kind of a socialist idea, actually. You're right. The Soviet Union was very, very, like, this is one of the funniest things that people kind of know, but they don't really know, is that women were just much happier and are happier in socialist societies. Like, this is just a well-studied and well-understood fact. Basically, feminism and racial equality are socialist ideas, and that is true. And they studied it, and they found that like women from East Germany had twice as many orgasms as women from West Germany. Yeah, a comparative sociological study of East and West German women conducted after reunification found that Eastern women had twice as many orgasms as Western women. Researchers marveled at the disparity in reported sexual satisfaction, especially since East German women suffered from the notorious double burden of formal employment and housework. In contrast, post-war West German women had stayed home and enjoyed all the labor-saving devices produced by the roaring capitalist economy, but they had less sex, less satisfying sex, and than women who had to line up for the toilet paper. Because sex is transactional in capitalism, it's also a reason why rape culture is so prevalent. Very true. I mean, if you go back and study the time, you'll find that like women as equal citizens is a far left idea.
I'm telling you, this whole left-wing illusion is falling to the wayside. You say I cried like a bitch.
And only 2 days after the fact, Ethan went on a misogynistic rant about Dems, where he called her a disgusting bitch several times. Of course, while his crew was dead silent.
And yes, she is a fucking somebody that laughs in the face of other rape victims and immediately calls them liars. That's a fucking bitch of a person.
There are reports of Palestinian women in captivity talking about that experience.
Let's see. I found one of the sources. One of the ones that you quoted was like, I don't even know what the this is. Care.com. It's literally just like a little blurb. That's a huge claim. 15 Palestinian women were what? I don't know what this is. What is this? Is this a source?
You're asking if it's credible.
Yeah. Yes, Care is credible. I think, at least.
What is
Care is
There's no source. She is earning the coveted distinction of being a f***ing bitch. Congratulations. Enjoy the distinction. I've come here and I've made the distinction. I have
leader Yahya Sinwar as appointed. Welcome back. Hamas has appointed its leader. De-escalate tensions.
Diplomacy with
Hamas's military.
Okay, they just literally, I thought they were going to have a video on this, but apparently not. U.S. decries reported sexual abuse of Palestinian prisoners after graphic video aired on Israeli TV. We have seen the video, and the reports of sexual abuse of detainees are horrific, State Department spokesperson Matthew Miller said. Allegations of sexual abuse by of Palestinian prisoners by members of the Israeli military are horrific, the United States said, after a graphic video broadcast on Israeli news added fuel to mounting criticism of the U.S. allies' conduct in the war in Gaza. Earlier this week, State Department spokesperson Matthew Miller responded to a question about a video shown on Israeli's Channel 12, the country's most watched commercial station, that alleged to show the abuse of a Palestinian man at Said Taiman, a military facility where thousands of Palestinians have been detained since October. We have seen the video, and reports of sexual abuse of detainees are horrific. So not only is there evidence of a sexual assault, there's a video that was broadcast live. Mike, that pronunciation was crazy. Yeah, I can't pronounce non-English things. Don't ask me. What is it? Sede Taiman? Is that how you say it? Thank you. Sede Taiman. Thank you.
Creed, let it be known.
Sorry about that, chat. Honestly, you know what would be cool if they just put pronunciation guides in articles. Who knows how to pronounce shit that's not English? Like, come on. Help a white brother out. Man, I used to be an H3 fan. I wouldn't know Hassan or Central Committee if it wasn't for me watching H3. I don't even recognize the guy anymore. I think there was a time when he was on the right path, but moly is he a completely different person in these recent clips. The answer of what happened is Sede Timan. Okay, that's what I said. Thank you. The reality of Ethan Klein is his identity is built around being an Israeli, right? And when the entire world is criticizing Israel for committing war crimes against people that Ethan doesn't consider to be equal human beings, that's frustrating. That's alienating for him, right? Like, he's like, but they're Palestinians. Why do you care if they get killed? Right? Like, that's like, for him, it doesn't even enter into his mind that his Israeli life is equal to a Palestinian life. That one Palestinian dying is just as tragic as one Israeli dying. That doesn't come into his mind, right? To him, Palestinians are collectively responsible for the crimes that any other Palestinian commits. The idea that Palestinians would ever fight back against what Israel is doing to them is a crime in his mind. And what Israel is doing to Palestinians is forever justified by stuff that other Palestinians did in the past. And he just can't accept the idea that you could look at that situation and come out to the side that Israel is oppressing the Palestinians on a racially biased manner that is unjustified and shouldn't be supported by the United States with our money, our diplomatic cover, our military assistance, and our, verbal support. To him, that's not even in the realm of possibility. And so that alienation from the rest of us is causing him a mental breakdown, because you're attacking a fundamental position of his entire life, that Israel is justified in its actions toward the Palestinians, and that anything that questions the nature of Israel as an ethno-state, as an apartheid state, as an occupier, is an attack on Ethan. And you're never going to change his mind. You're never going to change his mind. The only way his mind will be changed is if Israel is isolated by the international community like South Africa was, sanctioned, boycotted, and forced to come to a final conclusion that gives Palestinians equal status and ends the racial apartheid regime. And then Israel will be allowed to heal, and Palestinians will be allowed to heal. And then over the course of decades, Ethan might look back and say, my fears about Palestinians, getting revenge on us were all wrong. And his mind will align with the new reality and retroactively edit what he used to believe. That's what happened in the American South. That's what happened in South Africa. Most people in the American South today, if you called them racist, would be like, I'm not racist. 30, 40 years ago, they were all racist. All white people in the South were openly willing to say they were racist. Now they're not, because they're editing what they thought, what they believe now, and they're casting that into the past. And that's what would happen to Ethan. So if you want to change Ethan's mind, you have to go around Ethan, and you have to change Israel. Also, if you put an end to the apartheid state, you take away any form of power from Hamas, because you take away the very reason for the existence of this organization. I mean, it would go a long way. Absolutely. I don't understand. If he thinks Twitch is an echo chamber, why not stream there? Ew. Don't give him ideas. I don't want him here.
Dems is a dumb she deserved that. What she was doing, I'm standing by every syllable of that, okay? What she did was abhorrent. And by the way,
oh, and I got another shout out in this video. Thanks for keeping the Comrade Casey spirit alive.
You spent the next year constantly ripping into, suspiciously, a lot of not myself, but other people of color. I'm not calling myself a person of color. I know it's going to get clipped out of context here as well, and then you're going to be like, meh, 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 whatever. No, just noticing that you have just been going after a lot of...
This guy is really throwing spaghetti at the wall. He's accused me of being racist. And that, to me, is like, my eyes rolled all the way in the back of my head if I had a seizure. Going after brown people, I'm assuming he's talking about people like Frogan and others who, by the way, I have never attacked unprovoked. Every single time I've talked about Frogan was a direct response to her. Every time. So what, she's brown? That's your takeaway? Is that because she's brown? That's the only reason I care that she's making fun of October 7th victims? That she's brown? That's for real? Are you being serious right now? Are you actually being serious right now? You're actually making this point right now. Okay, exactly. This is the brown people he's talking about. Yeah, Casey, Comrade Casey, who's waiting for a hot, bodacious hijabi babe in the park.
Oh, God, I forgot about that.
Let's not forget about that. That's what woke leftist non-toxic masculinity looks like.
So this is the part of the video that I love so much. Because Ethan did basically zero research for his big content nuke that took 2 months, he makes a fool of himself twice with this one clip. First, it's on H3 Show 105, where Ethan reacts to a compilation of Hassan calling Jewish supremacists inbred.
Inbred. Douchebags in the background.
Like, these are just dudes standing back there.
Entirely
like,
comprised of messy.
And this is an ongoing like joke with this community. These are just benign dudes. Just I don't know what the they're doing. It looks like they're doing charity or something. It looks like they've got water or boxes or something, like they're helping. And he's going, "Oh, look at these." It's like, bro, who are you? What are you? Who are you? Like, how dare you?
Yeah, so Ethan just straight up admits that he used footage as evidence in his content nuke without even understanding the context of the clip itself. It's almost like he didn't clip this himself from the original source, but instead found the clip online, probably on one specific subreddit. In this clip, Hassan is watching a group of Jewish supremacist Nazis, basically, blocking aid trucks from entering Gaza. And
actually, Frogan said she was sad that Ethan unfollowed her. That's what started his attacks on Frogan. Frogan said she was sad to see that he unfollowed her. Like, that was the whole thing. Like, she was just like, oh, damn, like, you know, I was really sad that Ethan unfollowed me. That's what brought it all on.
Stealing and destroying the aid inside. They're not doing charity like Ethan thinks they are.
This comes just days after Israeli settlers blocked aid trucks headed to Gaza through the occupied West Bank from Jordan. Footage of the incident shows settlers raiding the aid trucks, throwing food into the road and setting fire to vehicles at the Tarkumia checkpoint near Hebron in the occupied West Bank.
So this is the raw clip that Hassan was looking at. These are far-right radical settlers destroying and blocking aid trucks and destroying the aid and stealing the aid. Ethan Klein said that these people were doing charity. They were actually doing the opposite of charity. They were sabotaging charity.
Palestinian truck drivers say they fear for their lives after the attack.
We went to the checkpoint, and after the check, we were surprised to see settlers on the roundabout of the checkpoint. They damaged the cars, they tore the tires off the trucks, they threw the contents of the truck on the ground. We gathered some of the products and sent some of those products onto a bulldozer and sent them to the sheep farms. Around 15 trucks were damaged. Their hull was damaged, windows of the trucks were broken, some drivers were beaten, some of the products were thrown away, and the whole loss for Hebron is around $2 million.
And then on H3 Show 107, Ethan reacts to Hassan watching this clip, but once again takes it out of context and makes himself look like a fool all over again.
And at a certain point, people are going to be like, you're using these sorts of clips out of context?
Bro, he is so pathetic. First of all, he hasn't watched the video. And this is like one of his main go-tos for any criticism. It's always like out of context, out of context, out of context. He hasn't watched the video. What's out of context, bro? Your reaction is out of context. You got no context.
Notice how you move the needle? You move the goalpost. I said that it's out of context. You demanded I describe to you what the context is, and you immediately moved on, and you're like, well, that's not the major point of the...
But you didn't...
What is he talking about?
Apparently a chatter is calling him out like, he says, how do you know the context? You haven't watched the video. I'm assuming was it. But then he goes, oh, really? Well, you moved the goalpost. It's like, but you didn't answer. You didn't tell him what the context is. So there was no kick. When you move the goalpost, you're moving it further from the kick. There's no kick.
At a certain point, you have to understand, like, okay, well, if this is incorrect, do you like being incorrect?
Can anybody tell me what the he's talking about? He hasn't.
The answer is, so if, in case you're like, what's going on right now? Basically, Ethan Klein took a clip that was edited by DGG to remove the part where Hassan showed his chat the context of the clip, where it was a news report of these far-right settlers attacking the aid convoy, and then he later called them inbred fucks, right? He called the far-right settlers inbred fucks for destroying the humanitarian aid convoy and attacking it, right? And then Ethan Klein used a clip of him saying inbred fucks, and then said that he didn't even know what these guys, he called these guys doing charity inbred fucks, implying that Hassan is anti-Semitic, right? Anti-Semitic Hassan sees Jews doing charity and calls them inbred fucks, right? That was Ethan Klein's argument. And then what we actually found out was, no, these were not random Jews doing charity. These were far-right settlers attacking a humanitarian aid convoy, beating the drivers, damaging the truck, stealing the product. And Hassan, seeing that, like any normal person would, was outraged and insulted them as scumbags that they are, right? And then Ethan Klein, and then a chatter was attacking Hassan, and Hassan showed this whole thing and proved that that clip wasn't what Ethan Klein said it was, and then was talking to the chatter and showed how that chatter was a lying, bad faith scumbag who doesn't care about the truth, who doesn't care about the context, who just wants to attack Hassan because he's mad that sex pestity is falling off for being a sex criminal, right? And then Ethan Klein, and so they made an edited clip on DGG where they removed the context, and then Ethan Klein played that edited clip on his stream because he's a Destiny fan. He's a DGGer. He doesn't care that Destiny is sexually harassing and blackmailing dozens of women. He doesn't give a fuck, right? He doesn't care about, he just is obsessed with Hassan and trying to attack somebody who criticizes Israel fairly and in context. That is Ethan Klein. And the video is going to show you exactly where the edited part's out. And now Ethan Klein is going to his audience and lying again because he's a liar. And he's saying, oh, Hassan just won't watch the video. Hassan won't address the criticisms. In a clip where Hassan is directly addressing the video's clips and criticism, Ethan Klein goes to his audience, edits the clip, edits out the context, and lies to his audience. Ethan Klein, you are a fucking liar.
Watched it. He hasn't cited anything that's out of context. He's talking about, oh, you're incorrect and you like... What is he talking about? How do people watch him? He literally will talk and drone on about nothing. He just regurgitates words. It's just word vomit.
Like, what are you talking about? You're making it seem like this is a formative work. It's very clear what the intention of the video is.
Dude, you haven't seen it.
And also, notice how you move the needle? You move the goalpost. I said that it's out of context. You demanded I describe to you what the context is, and you immediately moved on, and you're like, well, that's not the major point of the video.
You didn't do the context thing. You didn't explain
At a certain point, you have to understand, like, okay, well, if this is incorrect,
brain dead.
Do you like being
I honestly don't know if Ethan Klein is a complete and utter liar or he's just dumber than dirt. I'm going to go with both.
Correct? I guess you do.
How do you know they're incorrect? He's not. What is he saying?
If you missed it, here's the part of the video Ethan very conveniently skips over.
Chatter was asking for how certain things are clipped out of context. Here, this is a great example. Inbred douchebags in the background.
These are just dudes standing back there,
entirely comprised of.
And this is an ongoing joke with this community. These are just benign dudes. Just I don't know what the fuck they're doing. It looks like they're doing charity or something. It looks like they've got water or a box.
They're doing charity. Remember, by the way, this is a video that he quote unquote researched for months.
Or something like they're helping, and he's going, "Oh, look at these." It's like, bro, who are you? Who are you? Like, how dare you?
Guys, the Israeli police is investigating the attack on the Gaza aid convoy.
Israeli security forces are paid to stop this happening. They either could not or would not, but clearly did not prevent Israeli settlers attacking an aid convoy yesterday from the West Bank bound for Gaza, where, say aid agencies, hundreds of thousands of civilians face famine.
But during the unloading and loading, settlers attacked these trucks, destroying the products and burning them in a systematic act of sabotage.
A continuation of images seen yesterday as settlers destroyed food at the same crossing point.
So, does that make sense? Do you understand now? And I mean every single clip that he used, every single one is exactly like this. Where's that one chatter who asked that question? I assume he f***ed off immediately after coming in and saying like, this is, he said some other stupid shit. I mean, that's clearly not the messaging of the video. If you're saying his claim is you scared him, do you have any media literacy whatsoever? Do you think I need media literacy to understand a YouTube drama slop video? Like, what are you talking about? You're making it seem like this is a formative work. It's very clear what the intention of the video is. And also, notice how you move the needle, you move the goalpost. I said that it's out of context. You demanded I describe to you what the context is, and you immediately moved on, and you're like, well, that's not the major point of the.
But you didn't.
What is he talking about?
Apparently, a chatter is calling him out like, he says, how do you know the context? You haven't watched the video. I'm assuming was it. But then he goes, oh, really? Well, you moved the goalpost. It's like, but you didn't answer. You didn't tell him what the context is. So.
So what can you say other than Ethan Klein is caught being a complete liar? What can you say? He's a completed other. Either Ethan Klein is so incompetent and stupid that he didn't even bother to check, or he's knowingly lying. So either he's dumber than fucking dirt and he believes DGG unironically, which wouldn't surprise me, or he's a dishonest liar to, manipulating his audience. What more do you need to say? What more do you need to say? This is Ethan Klein. This is who he is. Now, if you think this is okay, then you're unreachable as a person. You are a bad person. Like, objectively, you are a bad person. Because Ethan Klein is trying to say that Hassan was anti-Semitic for calling terrorists who were attacking civilian humanitarian aid convoys. That's a real terrorist. That's a real terrorist. He's trying to call everybody else a terrorist and a racist and an anti-Semite while he's defending and lying about criminal Israeli settler terrorists.
There was no kick. When you move the goalpost, you're moving it further from the kick. There's no kick.
So fucking stupid.
At a certain point, you have to understand, like, okay, well, if this is incorrect, do you like being incorrect?
Can anybody tell me what the he's talking about? He hasn't watched it. He hasn't cited anything that's out of context. He's talking about, oh, you're incorrect and you like, what is he talking about? How do people watch him? He literally will talk and drone on about nothing.
I mean, how
does he just think that people will pick his shit apart? Actually, this is the destiny spiral. Like, this is the destiny spiral. I've seen it happen so many times because I've been an enemy of DGG for over 6 years. I know what it looks like. They do this shit where they take something out of context. They create a whole story about it. They tell each other that they believe it. And then they'll come into like my chat or they'll come in Hassan's chat and they'll say the like context they spun up and it immediately fails, right? Like it immediately fails because I'm like, okay, I'll talk about that in 5 minutes. Okay, and that's it. Bye-bye. The entire thing that they've been yelling at each other for years immediately falls apart because it's not true. And all that ends up happening is the people who realize that they're lying about this start falling away from DGG. They start falling away from Ethan Klein, and he just sees a spiral of failure. The only content creator who's ever seen success from this is Destiny, because he attracts just little trolls and minions. But everyone normal leaves. Every orbiter fails. And right now Ethan Klein is on terminal orbiter decline. It happens with every single Destiny orbiter. They go, whew, they end up in this spiral and spiraling and spiraling and spiraling. And more normal people, honest people, see what he's doing and they're just disgusted by it and they leave. This is what happens. It happens every time. And let me tell you, like, it's happening to Ethan. Like, it's costing him. And it'll continue to cost him. His H3 podcast views are at an all-time low. An all-time low, folks. January was an all-time motherfucking low. He's in negative subscriptions. This is 0, by the way. Right here, this horizontal line is 0. He's negative. Since October 2023, he's in the negatives. A good month is when he doesn't lose any subscribers. All-time low in views, down, 60,000 plus subscribers over the last 30 days. It's hopeless.
How can you be so confident in your hallucinations that you make such a foolish error? I guess when your very progressive audience gets replaced with Destiny fans who flood your subreddit with clipped out of context footage, that's how it happens. Oh, but Ethan doesn't know Destiny, so that can't possibly be the case. Even though this post and this post and this post and this post were either from the Destiny subreddit or from the H3 subreddit posted by someone active on the Destiny subreddit. I mean, just look at this chart from overlapping communities on Reddit. H3
Productions. Overlap communities. Oh, this is funny. H3 Productions overlap Destiny 22.1%. That's crazy.
This chart from overlapping communities on Reddit. The blowback from the content nuke really started to materialize in H3 show 106.
Hello, my friends. We are here. We are back. There's just way too much to talk about. Never ending, guys. Appreciate y'all being here. Thank you to Gamer Subs for sponsoring us today. Thank you to the gang. What's up, people of the world?
The content nuke clearly didn't work as intended, so Ethan begins gleefully reacting to Trump saying he's going to ethnically cleanse the Gaza Strip, all the while Ethan blaming this on Hassan.
Trump has had some brilliant ideas on Gaza, once again reminding people that I voted and advocated for Kamala Harris, and Hassan did not.
But Israel is not saying it's a bad idea, Ethan. You say Israel good, but Israel is going along with Trump. Netanyahu is going along with Trump. So isn't that the more important thing? Instead of like a streamer in LA who voted for Kamala to his great forever shame. By the way, I didn't vote for Kamala Harris because she's a genocider. The idea that Israel is the good guys as they're gleefully glowing along with it. You're an Israeli supporter, man. Don't you need to spend some time maybe criticizing your own side?
The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it, too. Just can't go back. If you go back, it's going to end up the same way it has for 100 years. I envision a world, people living there, the world's people.
He thinks that Hassan and I have more influence than Taylor Swift and Beyonce. Because it's not about me or Hassan. If me or Hassan said, ignore the genocide, vote for Kamala, you know what would have happened? People would have hated our guts because we were ignoring a genocide. And they could see it with their own eyes. And, you know what I mean? Like, we don't have it. We're not your kings. You watch me because you agree with my analysis and you agree with my opinions. And you want to learn the things that I know. And you want to have a community of like-minded. If I just decided to abandon my values for political expediency, I wouldn't have the audience I do. You believe what I believe because I can explain it. I can justify it. Not because I'm some sort of God king.
I think you'll make that into an unbelievable place. I think the potential in the Gaza Strip is unbelievable.
And you know he's going to call it like the Trump Strip.
Mara Gaza.
Mara Gaza.
Mara Gaza.
And I'll tell you who wouldn't be clearing out Gaza to build casinos. Kamala Harris.
I think it's
I
safe
can with
to say
100% certainty say that the two candidates are not the same. I did my part to stop this. I wish I could say the same for other folks. It's a shame. I want to say this right now. If you are a leftist who said, I'm abstaining from voting for...
Is that safe to say? A Western diplomat in Cairo, also speaking anonymously because the discussions have not been made public, confirmed receiving Egypt's message of its strong opposition through multiple channels. The diplomat said Egypt was very serious and viewed the plan as a threat to its national security. The diplomat said Egypt rejected similar proposals from the Biden administration and European countries early in their war, which was sparked by Hamas's October 7, 2023 attack into southern Israel. The earlier proposals were broached privately, while Trump announced his plan at a White House press conference alongside Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Harris and Biden were saying the same shit about the Gaza Strip that Donald Trump is saying. They just said it privately, while Trump is saying it publicly. That's the only difference. They were doing it behind the scenes. Trump is saying it out loud. That's the only difference. What was my source? The Associated Press. Egypt lobbies against Trump's plan to empty Gaza of Palestinians as Israel prepares for it. You fucking liar. You're saying, I voted for Kamala, and it's so much better, except the evidence is the opposite. Of course, you don't know anything about politics, Ethan, and you never do any research, and you have no idea what you're talking about. So the only difference between the two is Biden lies to everybody and confuses them about where America really stands, and Donald Trump is open about it. But the other thing is Donald Trump got a ceasefire in Gaza. There's a ceasefire in Gaza right now. Hostages are being released right now. Palestinians are returning to their homes. Israeli troops are withdrawing. Tents of humanitarian aid have begun to flow. Yeah, he's talking shit. He's saying the same shit that Biden was saying behind the scenes, but for the Gazans, there's now peace and a chance there's respite. Now, Israel is committing all sorts of violations of the ceasefire and attacking people and doing things like that. There's no doubt about that. Israel is still a scumbag, genocidal, settler, colonial hellhole. But the reality on the ground for Gazans has improved since Donald Trump has been in office. That is just a fact. Now, I don't support Trump. I'm fighting my ass off against Trump. And the best way to fight against Trump is to build a Democratic Party that actually has morals, that actually is different than the Republicans, instead of being pathetic Republican light like you love.
Kamala, if you are a leftist who said Kamala and Trump are the same on this issue, if you are a leftist who voted for Jill Stein.
Objectively, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and their presidency was worse on this issue. Donald Trump is just being more honest about what America is. Sometimes people will criticize me and say that, you know, you just say America bad. And I don't say America bad. I love America. There's a ton of really great, cool shit about America. There's a lot of awesome Americans alive today who have done incredible things. America is a beautiful country. America has a great, you know, the American people aren't actually as bad as their leaders. We have a horrible government. We have a horrible political system. It's extremely anti-democratic. It puts way too much power into rural conservative hands. But I love America. I just want America to rise to the level of its potential. I want it to be the utopian society that it could be. We have the wealth. We have the knowledge. We have the productive skill. We are incredibly blessed with natural resources and beautiful biodiversity. Like, we have it all here. You hate America because you're defending the shit status quo that's killing millions of people around the world. That's what you hate America. I'm the only person who actually cares about America, you fucking disgusting liberal.
I say this, and I know you guys are shitting and pissing the bed and doing everything you can to pretend like this take is like the worst, dumbest, most outlandish, and also probably racist thing you could say. This is all in your lap, and you don't get to say shit. All these people are going to be like, Trump, I can't believe. No, you just sit down and take it. Because this is all on you, and I don't
believe the Zionist wants us to just sit back and take Israel ethnically cleansing. He wants us not to protest Israel ethnically cleansing. Wow, I can't believe somebody would say that Ethan Klein might be a Zionist. Oh my God, that story is insane. I found the archived Reddit oh my God. So this is just, so his clips are literally just from DGG. It was a deleted post on DGG. The inbred clips are just from DGG. Of course. What a pathetic fucking loser, dude. What a pathetic fucking loser. Notice the genocide is leftist fault, not the party doing it, Israel and the United States. Yeah.
Don't give a what you say. This is what this kind of activism that Hassan and people like him, this is the outcome of their activism. It is, people need to start thinking about, like, what is this level of activism we see of, like, extraordinarily extremist, zero nuance, straight up hateful, uncompromising, you know, what is the outcome of this level of...
Ethan Klein is so uneducated about politics, he thinks I'm uncompromising. Like, legitimately, he knows so little about politics, he thinks I'm uncompromising. I'm extremely compromising. He just doesn't know what the left actually is. He just he's unaware of what the entire political spectrum is. Like, he just doesn't know what radical leftism even is. I am not the most far left a person could be. He just doesn't know what he's talking about. I'm talking about, like, supporting Zohran in New York City for mayor. Like, what do you think that's the most radical leftist you could be, you fucking dumbass? I'm saying, you know, Bernie Sanders, start your own party. You think that's the most radical left you could be? Like, what are you talking about, man? I'm saying, do you know that Medicare for all is a compromised position? Do you know what the left-wing position is on healthcare? Nationalization of all healthcare. So every doctor, every nurse becomes a government employee. Every insurance company has all their assets seized. That's far left position on healthcare. Medicare for all is a moderate position, you dumbass.
Activism. What have they done for Gaza? Literally, what have they done for Gaza? What have they done for Gaza? Serious. I'm being dead serious. Done nothing. They are ineffective, completely worthless as advocacy goes. A total failed movement.
And then the CEO of Teddy Fresh joined in on the blowback. What up, Ela Kleiners? She posted this on her Instagram story. This artist I wanted to collaborate with decided I can't be associated with because I'm Israeli. I've followed him for years, always supported him, and I have an original painting of his at my house. When we talk about how serious the rise in anti-Semitism is, this is why it's scary for us. It's now so casual to just not want to associate with an Israeli, just because I was born there. Where in this very short, polite email does it say anything about Ela being Israeli? I'm sorry, I can't be associated with this company. Thanks for the consideration. And Israel does not equal Judaism. How long is it going to take for these people to get this out of their heads? She then decided to call into the show and whine about her experience as a marginalized Israeli.
This is the result of Hassan's type of activism, where there's zero space, forget nuance. I mean, it's like they're just all or nothing. Like, I mean, that's just not how the world works. It's just not how the world works. Should I out him?
Hey, you want to see something our activism has done? Democrats are more pro-Palestinian than any time in the past 7 years. In the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, are your sympathies more with the Palestinians 35%, about equal 32%, the Israelis 9% and declining. It is now a plurality position of the Democratic Party to support Palestinians over Israelis. And just Palestinians over equal. We're coming for that entity. It's only a matter of time, Ethan.
No, Alex Pardee is a saint. He's the best person.
Yeah, Alex is a sweetheart.
I don't know if is it morally okay to say who he is. Whatever you guys think, I don't care.
I mean, if I say who he is, it's probably just to get a bunch of snarkers buying his art, but I don't care. People should be. I mean, listen, it's not right. What an asshole response to, like...
I think that guy should sue them for defamation. He's calling an artist anti-Semitic because he doesn't want to work with your dumb fucking community of shitbags. Fuck you.
It's almost like he's, yeah, and by the way, like, he doesn't even dignify you with the response of, like, it's like, no, you actually, I can't be associated with this company. That's it. And you guys have had a relationship. Like, he knows you.
I'm just annoyed because it's not the first one. There's another person right now that is doing the same thing to me, somebody that I'm already working with. So...
I have a wild idea. You know, if you're living in Beverly Hills in your multi-millionaire mansion with your servants and your yes men that you all pay to like you, every single one of the people around Ethan Klein and Gila Klein has to be paid to be there. Have you considered perhaps just like shutting the fuck up and making fart jokes?
I don't know. This one really got to me because I have his art at my house and it's like, what the do I do with that? I appreciate the art. I don't want to destroy it, but I also don't want it.
And this is the result of this activism that Hassan. This is the result of Hassan's activism. This is what it resounds to: alienation, hate, racism, and zero progress for people in Gaza.
Hey, chat. Since he's bringing up activism, I just want to do some activism for the New York City DSA. They have a candidate, and he's not just a politician, all right? This is a friend. Zoran is not just like a progressive who's working with DSA. He's cadre. He is a socialist. This guy is a motherfucking king. He's proposing building 200,000 rent-controlled, union-built social and public housing units for New Yorkers. He's a motherfucking Chad. Zoran is amazing. He's running for mayor. And today is the last day to change your party affiliation to Democrat. So if you're an independent, if you're a Socialist Party member and you're in New York City, you are in New York State, you need to change your party affiliation for Democrat just so you could vote in this primary.
Look at these fossils. Democrats sold us down the river.
Put it away. I haven't even looked at my phone in 5 days. It's called practicing non-attachment. You must try it, darling.
I'm not gonna do a poly thing.
No. Not saying.
God damn Democrats. I've never been prouder not to be one.
Are you truly independent if you're just glued to your phone like this? Let's unplug. Focus on us. Valentine's is coming up.
I don't just want to live in the moment. I want to meet it too. I like Zoran, though. He's running on freezing the rent, union-built housing, city-run groceries, universal child care, free buses. He is meeting the moment.
All right, I'll vote for this guy.
But Cad, this is the Democratic primary. So if we want to vote for Zoran where it really counts, we have to change our party affiliation. I know you value your independence.
And I admire yours too.
But I was thinking...
Will you switch your party affiliation to Democratic with me?
So we can vote for Zoran for mayor and provide our family with a more affordable future in this city?
Yes, Harmonia. 1,000 times yes.
The one thing I like about Zoran is he's just millennial cringe and he laughs about it. He just doesn't care. He leans into millennial cringe and it's funny. And it's like, you know what? He's a happy warrior. And he's a really good guy. We should watch his video on housing. It's really, really, really good. It's really, really good. Maybe we'll watch, like we love, it's one of our favorite videos. He made a video on housing a few years ago and it's really good. So I'm excited for him. Make sure you change your party affiliation for Zoran. Anyway, let's go back to making fun of Ethan Klein. I just want to do a little bit of activism. I think he has raised the most money from New Yorkers early on, and he's got a really strong core of supporters, so it's a good shot that he has a chance of winning the New York City mayor's race. And let me tell you, chat, that's not going to be enough. He's going to be under fire by the Democrats and the Republicans if he wins. So this is just the beginning.
0.
Can I vote for him if I'm an expat and my home state is New York? Yes.
I mean,
he actively didn't help make sure we don't get Trump in office. So
that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
No, I hope he's happy with like Trump Lindia that we're gonna get there. There should be a Hassan Street there, the Hassan Square.
That's a good point. Hassan Piker Way.
Yeah.
I'll advocate for that, yeah.
There are so many different explanations for this.
Disgusting.
And if this person really did know Hila and have a relationship with her already, there's no way the reason is because she's Israeli. They would have known that. Did they just find out she's Israeli? It could be that he saw recent clips of her, I don't know, agreeing with Rudy Giuliani about 2-year-old Palestinians, or calling Yoav Gallant a good guy, or even older footage of her saying the apartheid wall is a good idea for her safety, or I don't know, the content nuke on Hassan. You yourself admit that this guy is a fan of Hassan, so he's probably very supportive of Palestine. Chances are this dude probably assumed you were pro-Palestine, was proved otherwise, and politely told you he no longer wants to be associated with the company. Wait, what was the entire purpose of the content nuke on Hassan in the first place?
If you ever see Hassan rubbing shoulders with anyone from mainstream media, let them know politely with all the civility and
let them know politely. He's too cowardly to say harass people who work with Hassan. And guess what happens, Ethan? This is what Ethan Klein doesn't understand. Is Hassan and I are rooted in real politics, you dumb fuck. You're rooted in DGG clips, you stupid piece of shit. You dumb fucker. People agree with us politically, you dumbass. You worthless sack of shit. You're a nothing. You're a fart joke guy. Shut your fucking mouth. You want to come after us? Good luck. Why don't you just go back to making fart jokes? I don't get it. Go back to making fart jokes. I don't understand why you're so dedicated. Like, listen, Trump's in office, all right? The Israeli entity is probably not going to crumble in the next 4 years. Why don't you enjoy your fascist fucking state and be quiet about it? People aren't, now that there's a ceasefire in Gaza, you know, you could go back to pretending to be progressive even if you just shut your fucking mouth for a minute.
in the world, what kind of person he is when he thinks mainstream media isn't watching.
And I'm a Twitch streamer. Like, I'm not working on a campaign. I don't work for anybody. I get to say whatever the fuck I want. Like, what are you going to cancel me to? My audience? They love it.
Understand that his name should be associated with people like Nick Fuentes and Alex Jones.
Our enemies who we fight? Our enemies that we fight who recognize us as the biggest threat? You know who Alex Jones and Nick Fuentes love? Losers like Joe Biden. You know who they like? Losers like Kamala Harris, because they win against them. They love Hillary Clinton. They win against them. You know who they're scared shitless of? Bernie Sanders.
Other fringe, radical, political commentators. Number 2, Twitch must be held accountable. Twitch has proven that it will not change by choice. And so it is our moral imperative.
So in other words, he wants to make it so that Twitch censors us. There are anti-Semites on YouTube. How about you clean up your own fucking platform, you scumbag piece of shit? Clean up your own platform, you dumb fuck. There's anti-Semites all over it. There is all sorts of questionable child content. There's all sorts of disgusting right-wing fuckers on Twitch. Excuse me, on YouTube. Why don't you clean up your own fucking platform first? Destiny's on your platform. Aren't you concerned a sex criminal is still streaming on your fucking platform? Why aren't you concerned about YouTube? Why aren't you concerned about young women being sexually groomed on your fucking platform?
To enact that change through any reasonable...
These are all their sponsors. And listen, at a certain point, when you've pushed every button, pulled every lever, and nothing's working, when you've tried your best to give good faith feedback, and you think that something is that important to you, like, you have, in my opinion, a moral obligation, and what I see as a moral obligation, to pull whatever lever you can. And I don't give a... I am not too proud, and I am not above, you know, I don't give a shit, right? Like, if you've done something dumb enough that you can get easily by an email to the sponsors, that's something you have to reckon and deal with. I've been dealing with that my whole career, okay?
We need to get the N-word compilation, and anytime someone sponsors his show, just send it over to them and make sure they know that they're associated with it. Why not? I mean, hey, turnabout's fair play, right, Ethan?
I wasn't gonna say it.
No, I'm not. I don't hide from it. Everybody knows that.
Right.
I've been dealing with it for my whole career, okay? And it's something you got to reckon with. It's something you got to deal with. But like, be accountable, man. And you know, I have become accountable for a lot of things that people always send to the sponsors, and it's something you deal with. That's just life. And I think it's insane that all these brands are associating with Twitch when it's become a safe haven for extremist politics.
We all recall YouTube's adpocalypse. It happened when ads were running over ISIS recruitment videos, and it caused a brand exodus. The same thing is
Hassan and I don't run ads. Next.
Happening now on Twitch. But instead of ISIS, it's the Houthis, Hamas, and Hezbollah. Dan Clancy's refusal to moderate extremists is the only reason for any of this. He is the sole person to blame. He had so many opportunities to stop this.
If you look back at the adpocalypse that took place on YouTube, we all got so hard. There was years of the revenue being dog shit. I lost 90% of my ad revenue.
So he wants to do that to other creators who have nothing to do. Like, here's the thing that's real. This shows you how much of a little worm he is. This is why no one likes you, man. You're trying to destroy people who have nothing to do with us. You're trying to hurt people that are just making their own content. You're trying to destroy artists. You're trying to destroy musicians. You're trying to destroy IRL streamers, gaming streamers. Like, what are you doing, dude? Like, you are a total piece of shit. So you could censor the political content that is a large section of American society. Bernie Sanders style leftism may not be the majority yet, but there is a large section of our society that believe in it. And it is far more humane and just than who's in power right now, which is Donald fucking Trump. You want to censor us while Fresh and Fit is on YouTube, while Asmongold is on YouTube. You are not trying to censor Asmongold. You're not trying to censor Republicans. You're trying to censor the left because we criticized you and your genocidal settler colonial state that is killing hundreds of thousands of innocent men, women, and children. You suck.
When that happened, and I didn't have sponsors at the time. That was like 100%. That was all my income was from that.
When the apocalypse was happening, were you mad at the people who pointed out that ads were on ISIS videos?
Yes.
The nuke headed for Hassan turned around, penetrated the Iron Dome, and hit the Teddy Fresh offices. I'm sorry, but that is so incredibly hilarious. Of course, Ethan then went to Instagram to write, "I'm going to answer this because I've seen Eli getting enough from scumbags on the internet. This is someone she has had an existing relationship with. They have never had an issue with any of our conversations over the years. There is no reason for the shortness of the answer as they've been amicable and friendly until now. They're also a Hassan fan and active in online activist circles that target us. You like to hope that people can prioritize a personal relationship and see through the bullshit people say about us, but it's not always like that. Also, don't know why some of you guys have a hard time believing this. Brad Does Music was literally canceled for taking a picture with us and forced to apologize. This has been a constant issue for Israeli artists since October 7th. Yeah, if you run defense for the IDF and say that 2-year-old Palestinians are taught to kill Americans, this should happen to you. I mean, in the same episode, only minutes earlier, Ethan called out Creators for Palestine because apparently raising $1.6 million is negligible and doesn't actually help people in Palestine. Take a wild guess as to who was one of the main organizers of that charity event.
Creators for Palestine raised $1.6 million. That's fantastic. Literally negligible. They've received billions of dollars. It's a good thing. Has 1.6...
They've received billions of dollars? I guess he's talking about Palestinians. He's talking about Palestinians. Israel has received over $330 billion from the United States. And you still want more. $330 billion to Israel.
$6 million had an outcome on anything happening in Gaza? Absolutely not. Has it helped people? Sure. Has it helped the actual movement? No.
By the way, Ethan Klein tries to say I gave $6,500 to Palestinian charity. I'm a good person. Bro, I gave $10K. $6,500? You're way richer than me. You skinflint, you cheap fuck. Why are you out there going oh man, I gave $6,500. How much do you make a video? $6,500 is nothing. Pathetic.
Raise money. That's good. That's the easiest thing you can do is just give money, right? Good. Let's talk about real activism. Let's talk about enacting meaningful change. Total failures.
Yeah, no wonder people don't want to work with you guys. Nearly 100 of some of the most popular YouTubers and Twitch streamers were a part of that. You're just guaranteeing that you're hated across the internet at that point.
It's not real activism. It didn't make a single difference in Gaza. He's lost his mind. It's crazy how much I used to look up to H3. They were the fathers of fair use, and now he's just sitting here crashing out for days on end because Hassan Piker won't watch his silly little class project. That $1.69 million, and I put the 9 there because it was 1.693 million, so it's pretty close to 1.7, so we'll round up. That $1.69 million helped so many individuals, and no, it absolutely did not solve the crisis. That's not what we set out to do. If we had the power to do that, we would have done that 1,000 times over, but no amount of YouTubers coming together is going to solve what's happening in Gaza. We wanted to do two things: use our platform to spread awareness and help in the ways that we can and raise the money that we can. And if you can't understand that, Ethan, if you can't mentally understand that that's activism, you're an idiot. We pulled together creators from every single corner of the internet, people who have nothing in common, people who have never, ever talked about any political topic in public, and we got them to speak out about Palestine. The whole point was to get people who have never talked about these kinds of issues.
I love this Hassan. He's a really cool guy. I like him. He's a really cool guy. And this did take balls. You have far more to lose standing up to Israel than you ever have for standing up in support of Israel. Everybody knows that. Ethan Klein knows that. Everyone understands that. No one's confused about that.
Who have never cared about these kinds of issues and put them in front of them. And I think we did exactly that. From the Try Guys to Curtis Connors to everybody that we had together in that room, it reached so many corners of the internet and reached so many more people than we'd ever had before. That's activism. And then beyond that, VidCon was 2 weeks later, and I can't tell you how many creators came up to me and said, thank you for doing that, asked on how they could be a part of the next event we do, asked what they could do from their own communities and their own platform because they've been terrified to speak out. But seeing guys like Curtis Connor, seeing guys like the Try Guys put their whole platforms out there on the line and say, I don't care what the U.S. government says about where they're going to send their dollars and who they're going to weaponize, I'm going to support this human rights violation. That's the activism, Ethan. It's using your platform to spread awareness. And on top of that, you're just implying that none of us did anything else. Lots of us marched at rallies. Lots of us spoke to our lawmakers, called our senators, called our local government officials, and made it very clear this is an issue to us. And here's a clip from his content, Nuke, where he talks about how he donated $6,500 to Palestine.
Despite what you've read on TikTok and Twitter, I've donated $6,500 to a Palestinian charity after the war started.
Hey, Ethan Klein, thank you for the dono. Ethan Klein gave $6,500.
When he was called out about this on Twitter and on Threads, he decided to come after Stanzi Potenza and go out of his way to say, how much money did you personally donate? That's such a stupid conversation point. So many creators, because I run Creators for Palestine. I see the back end. I see every donation. I can't tell you how many creators donated $10,000 plus $25,000 and more, but didn't make a public statement about it and didn't try and say, hey, look at me. I'm a good guy. I did something that's the most basic human necessity. Hey, I'm a millionaire, so I decided to give some of my money. And unlike Ethan, didn't make it a shield to say, hey, I don't have these horrible political beliefs. No, because I donated $6,500 to Palestine. Therefore, I made a difference. And then he's going to come out and criticize creators for Palestine. And for what? Ethan, I was a massive fan of you growing up. I can't tell you how much I looked up to you as the father of fair use and for dunking on horrible, cringy people on the internet, but you've become exactly what you were against back in the day. You have the kind of life people dream of. You're a multi-millionaire, you got your kids, you have everything you could want, and you spend every day sitting on the internet crying and whining and moaning. Get offline and get your mental health in order. You have absolutely lost it. And don't you dare ever disrespect creators for Palestine or any other charity again. When you're sitting there talking, you're calling us to do some real activism. What the hell have you done? Was your content Nuke real activism? Was telling everybody that, oh my God, big reveal, Hassan Piker's a socialist. Of course he's a socialist. He's been a radical socialist the whole time. That's who he's been. That's not real activism either. So why don't you get off, go enjoy your millions of dollars, your wonderful life, and then do some real activism if you care about it, instead of sitting in your stupid podcast chair, yelling at your employees, treating everybody you know like crap. Because you know, Ethan, multiple people in your life haven't spoken to you because they're nervous of how you'd react in public, but privately, tons of your friends have talked to me and to others about how worried they are about you and your mental health because you've absolutely
People
flying
have
off.
messaged me about it. And I'm not even an Ethan Klein guy. People that know Ethan Klein are messaging him going like, what's going on with Ethan? And I was like, you know, I tell them the truth. And they're like, I don't know. And like recently somebody messaged me and they were like, I don't know if there's anybody left to talk to him. I mean, maybe Ethan Klein's got a bunch of people that want to back him up on this. They're just all right out of frame. Like, you know, maybe they're all just hanging out of frame. But I would encourage the people that back Hassan or back Ethan Klein's Nuke to show themselves, right? The only people that are backing Ethan Klein's Nuke are ex-Destiny orbiters, because that's what's holding them together. Like they've gone from being Destiny orbiters to just anti-Hassan fans, because that's what they were inculcated with Destiny. Well, they've lost Destiny, but the one thing they can hold on to is being anti-Hassan. Have I seen this compilation?
To handle. Get it together.
Ethan then went to Instagram to try and make amends, I guess. But he really just doubled down. Oh look, another dipshit leftist lying about me on Twitter. Anyone remember me saying this yesterday? If I thought raising money is a bad thing, why would I donate $6,500 of my own money? By the way,
cheap.
Since you bring it up, how much did you personally give? The fact is that raising money is negligible when you are helping the ethnic cleansing candidate win. This is a
They were both ethnic cleansing candidates. We just showed you the article from the AP that everything that Trump is saying out loud, Biden was saying behind the scenes, including ethnically cleansing Gaza.
Concept that is so obvious and easy to understand, but somehow when faced with criticism of their surface level and ineffective activism, they turn into lying baby brain propagandists. Ethan, say money bad. Either you are dumb as f or just a straight up liar. Either way, f you scumbag. I have zero patience for anyone participating in this pathetic hate bandwagon. I'm not really sure what he means by helping the ethnic cleansing candidate win. I mean, he himself voted for Kamala. Wasn't she the vice president during the ethnic cleansing? And didn't she say that if she won the presidency, she would change nothing about what Joe Biden did in Palestine?
President Biden has tried unsuccessfully to end the war between Israel and Hamas in Gaza. Would you do anything differently? For example, would you withhold some U.S. weapons shipments to Israel? That's what a lot of people on the progressive left want you to do.
Let me be very clear. I'm unequivocal and unwavering in my commitment to Israel's defense and its ability to defend itself. And that's not going to change. I've met with the families of the American hostages. Let's get the hostages out. Let's get the ceasefire done.
But no change in policy in terms of arms and so forth.
No, we have to get a deal done.
So in the end...
And you know who got the deal done on the ceasefire? Trump. Because Trump said to them, yeah, it's time for it to end. Don't make me raise my bitch slapping hand. Just sign the deal that's on the table. And they did. Donald Trump sent one of his flunky golf buddies to Israel, and he had a deal done. Now, Donald Trump then said, you know, the Gazans should just move out. But that's exactly what the Biden administration was saying. How do we know? Egypt has said that.
The nuke did detonate, just on the wrong target. I mean, guys, you're big boys. There are consequences for your actions, and targeted hate and harassment campaigns against very popular people on the internet is probably not going to end well, especially when you yourself, over the past year and a half, have really just been a bad faith actor in this whole Israel-Palestine discussion. You say you're pro-Palestine, but almost every day you talk shit about people that are pro-Palestine. You say you don't support the Israeli government, but whenever they bomb a hospital, you say, there's no way they did that.
Their bases are under hospitals. They shoot from schools. They embed themselves in the civilian population. They even dress as civilians when they fight.
You're obviously under the impression that Hassan hate videos get clicks, and you're not wrong. But a dead horse can only be beaten for so long before it becomes a rotten puddle of goo. Thank you for watching NSR. Peace and love. Free Palestine.
Oh my God, big reveal. Hassan Piker's a socialist. Of course he's a socialist. He's been a radical socialist the whole time. That's who he's been.
What an absolute fucking banger video, chat. Here's what I want all of you to do. The link is in the chat. The link's in the chat. Here's my link. But here's what I also want you to do. If you have the ability, I want you to look for Ethan Klein's content nuke on Hassan Piker. First of all, go to your YouTube channel. Go to your YouTube splash page, right? Like this. If you see the video on these on the top, click on it. If it's not there, search it in the chat and then click on the North Star Radio. Make sure you hit that like button. If you can, play the whole video through and then leave a comment. We are the hero. You are the hero. Okay. Bam, boom, done. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, click on it if it's in your splash page. If it's not on your splash page, search for it and make sure you click on it and then watch it through. We need to make sure this thing gets boosted. Boosted. Does it count as a play if I'm muted? I don't know. I think so. I'm not sure. If you have like a sound, what I do when I play like Twitch or something in the like when I'm trying to boost stuff or like get Twitch drops, I'll like mute it through this thing where I'll just turn the volume to 0 to get around like, you know, websites identifying the fact that you have the tab muted, or turn it to like 1%. Yeah, you guys could mute the tab. Yeah, mute the tab through you could also mute it through like your browser. Yeah, I know. We already looked at that. Egypt lobbies against Trump Gaza Strip exodus plan while Israel begins preparations. And like this story is really interesting because the Jordan and Egypt are just pretending that Trump isn't saying what he's saying. I don't know if you guys saw Jordanian king was with Trump and Trump was like, we're going to clear out the Gaza Strip. And the Jordanian kid is like, yeah, we're going to talk about it. And then Donald Trump would be like, there's nothing to talk about. And the Jordanian king would be like, we'll have a proposal. Jordan and Egypt understand that their status as a puppet state can only exist if the Palestinians are not actively being ethnically cleansed into their territory. Can you imagine ethnically cleansing 2 million Palestinians into their territories? That is a hyper-radicalized population that is going to be incredibly sympathetic to the population that's receiving them. And that could cause a collapse of those countries, a revolution of those countries. You think Egypt going from being an American puppet to a pro-Palestinian revolutionary government is going to be good for Israel? A full-blown Arab Spring Part 2? Yeah, that would be crazy. Mike, thoughts on the Gallup poll that just came out? It's the same thing. People don't know what moderation means. People don't know what moderation means. It doesn't mean anything. Moderation, they don't know what that means. They literally don't know what that means. Whenever you ask people what moderation means, they have no fucking clue.
You're all welcome here, you radicals. Now we're talking. Karl Marx in the building. Let's do a socialist revolution with leftovers, with Hassan spreading liberal fucking garbage and socialist propaganda to the masses. I can change him. If I can change him, I can get to Aiden. I'm gonna turn this guy into a socialist. I'm sure of it.
Sure.
I love one of your jokes on your special. You said we should.
Oh yeah.
Say that.
Yeah. Should assassinate? Can I say that?
Because I've gotten banned twice for similar jokes, like literally banned. And I was like, this is my guy.
Yeah.
We should totally smash my mate.
Yeah.
Smash schmoes. Yeah. I thought that was a funny joke.
Thank you.
He talks about how.
By the way, Ethan Klein was whining and complaining because I made a joke about Destiny. He was whining and complaining in the nuke about me making a joke that was a lot less explicit than that. He is such a whiny little bitch.
Hassan is a socialist hypocrite. It's like, dude, shut up. The conservatives now have gone all.
God, he was so much jolly when he had high blood sugar, chat. Get Ethan, a chocolate bar. Ethan Klein, I will take you to Quarters, okay? I'll take you to Korean barbecue, and we'll get you back on track, all right? We'll get you jolly and happy and fat again.
Full circle and become radical.
Nobody is ever mad when they've got a gut full of Korean barbecue, okay?
Leftist defunding the police. So that's actually terrific. We're on board with that.
They've always
I'm a domestic terrorist. That's worse.
This guy needs a this guy needs a fucking Snickers.
Was, parading me around as a domestic terrorist or something. So YouTube had to do something, and we got suspended for a week.
Am I going to be in trouble that you just said it on my podcast?
What, the NRA?
Well, again?
Ethan makes another bomb threat. I mean, come on, that's not happening.
He just said what? This guy cried because I made a joke about Destiny, sex pestiny. This is incredible stuff.
I mean, it's all up to what the NRA does, frankly. It's in the bullets in their court. The bullets in their chamber. I says, Ben, when they start coming to round us up, I don't know if I should say it.
Yeah, probably not.
We get in trouble.
Let's not repeat it.
Everybody knows what you said.
Even Hassan is like, don't repeat that. Hassan was telling him to calm down.
Hope they get you first, right? So he's like, here's a funny joke.
No. Don't. Let's not do that. Let's not do that.
Candace Owens going to be the one to usher Ben right into that chamber. You know what I'm talking about? And say, bye-bye, old Benny boy. Candace Owens going to having a fucking Ben Shapiro lamp next to her bed. You know what I'm saying, Dan?
Okay, I'm not.
But let's be honest. If there was a Holocaust, you'd be one of the Jews that's like snitching on other Jews.
I'm not. Don't look to me. I'm not.
You know what I mean? Like he'd be one of those Jews with like collecting bounties on fucking.
I'm not responding to that.
On a little. Anne in the attic, Ben be sniffing them out, bro.
British.
We are domestic terrorists.
Okay, dude. Come on.
There was a big protest outside the NRA meeting, which was good. Do we have any insight into what they're actually talking about there at the NRA meeting that's today in Texas? Someone should bomb that building.
This guy put in his content nuke that I made fun of Destiny, and they tried to say I was a bad person. Alrighty. There you have it. Which will allow us to, since we're already on drama, maybe we'll do a little bit more drama, just a little bit, a Susan more drama of Destiny losing his own fan base. Because that's also kind of related to why Ethan Klein is crashing out. Ethan Klein, I know you'll never listen to me, but I highly suggest you just shut the fuck up. Take the L. And going back to making fart jokes, you should do like you should do a whole Ozempic skit. You should just, you should do an Ozempic skit about people who, rich multimillionaires from Beverly Hills who are fat slobs and then took Ozempic and then used that to go and body shame other people. You should do an amazing, that would be a really funny skit. That seems to be something you're pretty aware of. Blame it on the Zempic. Yeah. Make a song out of it. All right, let's keep going.
Nothing funnier than this. Like, maybe I'm not doing anything, but even after like years and years of concerted attacks, your favorite content creator is not getting a lot of positive coverage recently. What is this Sportskeeda site? They write about you a lot. It's an AI site. What is this? Does Amazon know this Asmongold criticizes Twitch reportedly unbanning literal terrorist Houthi pirate interviewed by Hassanabi? What is this? Does Amazon know this? First of all, dude's not a fucking Houthi. Okay. Secondly, like, how is this about me? I don't understand. Like, do they think that I have the keys to who gets unbanned and banned at Twitch or something? And I was just like, hey, you guys really need to unban this guy. Look at the author name. Richik Anarkitty Bhattacharya. Who the f is this? The Night Manager. It's not AI. It's a real person. Not unbanned. He made another account. It's already banned. Oh my God. You mean to tell me that a random teenager in Yemen that everyone is just calling a Houthi terrorist was banned off of Twitch, and then he made an alt account, and then that alt account was banned off of Twitch as well, but somehow this should be turned into news?
Okay, sorry, I had to pee.
I wonder if the community that stands to gain the most from...
Didn't some of the cast even call him out not that long ago when he tried to watch a Destiny video? They literally said fat Ethan wouldn't have done this. God, it would be so fun. Like, one of the things that's like one of the things that I know in my heart, because I am a content creator on my own, right? Like, I'm somebody who's on my own. Nobody is propping me up. I'm not on anyone else's show. I do some collaborations with people, and I, am parts of other communities of people that I respect. But like, I'm on my own, doing my own thing. And just some advice for the Ethan Klein people. If you left Ethan Klein and made your own thing, you would make double the money within 6 months. And Ethan Klein would go to zero. Like, Ethan Klein would be a shell of himself. All right. If you just had the courage to go out on your own, you would end up far better off. And then you could be normal and you could be friends with all of us and you could apologize and it would be much better for you. Now, I know it's risky. I know you've got your Audi payments and whatever, but you should leave. Start your own thing. And so many people want Ethan Klein to fail. You would get so boosted. You would make so much more money and you would own the thing. You wouldn't have to be somebody else's minion. Olivia started streaming on Twitch. She had over 1K viewers on her second stream. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Like, there's so many people who are not political streamers, but because they're friends with like the Hassan orbit, have gotten huge careers, and they've got the best of both worlds. They get to be a progressive, cool person while making the content that they want to make and getting all the sponsorships, because they're not taking the brunt. You know, like Hassan and I are making the political stands, right? We are building the political audiences, but then they go and get to make their art and their creativity, and they hang out with us and they get all the sponsorships and they get so they get the best of both worlds. Why the fuck would you not take advantage of that opportunity and leave Ethan? You get to be a good person and make bank and be mainstream. It's crazy. I don't know why people don't do it. Like, I'm successful because I'm a political guy. People watch me for politics. If I had the same viewership as I do now playing video games, I would be a multimillionaire. The reason I'm not a multimillionaire is because I'm political, which makes me risky, which makes people nervous, which is why I don't run ads, which is why I don't have big sponsorships, because I don't want those people interfering with what I do. I would rather forego that money to have something that I care about. It's called artistic integrity. Ethan's mod is also Olivia's mod on Twitch. It claps anyone who thinks it's against H3. Oh yeah, I bet. I watch you for Project Zomboid tips. My biggest tip on Project Zomboid, like the number one thing that I would suggest, is take a lot more negative traits than you think. Take a lot more negative traits than you think. Because the way that Zomboid works, positive, like most of the negative traits you could play around and are not that big a deal. Like being hungry more, that's a good trait to take. You know, more free points to buy. It's like the positive things make you significantly stronger. That's my big Zomboid tip. Take more negative traits. Don't take any traits that affect your ability to hear. Don't take any traits that affect your ability to like store, like disorganized is bad. Don't take anything that makes you clumsy or fall down. That will kill you. Yeah, what else was I gonna say? Don't take any. I mean, if you, I usually take underweight or overweight. You can work those off. Strong is insane. Strong is insane. Those are my big tips for new players. Short-sighted is cured with glasses, and you could give yourself glasses to start the game as well. Did I talk about the RFK Jr. confirmation yet? No, we're gonna do this, and then probably we're gonna get into that.
From brigading LSF specifically to stop people from consistently bringing up the fact that he is a sex pest has something to do with this totally organic news story. Stop falling for the bait from drama perverts. Did you see X spoke to the last head mod? No, I didn't. The kid had like 10 followers, probably 0 viewers when he did his little mobile stream for 5 minutes. No wonder Twitch didn't ban him for ban evading. Yeah, Twitch probably has no clue that a random person from Yemen opened up another alt account. Move on, please. I mean, who cares? It's just like, it's so transparently being brigaded every time they want to cast like a little smoke screen. I didn't even know about this anyway, but it is pretty funny that this is somehow linked back to me, I guess. Yeah. I saw some chat logs inside of DDG where they were very upset that they kept posting stuff on LSF about Destiny, and then all of the comments were about how Destiny is a sex pest, and they were very mad at the head mod of LSF that is a DDGer, that stale guy.
I do not pay my mods. I do not pay my mods because my mods are not workers. Anytime somebody contributes any kind of like actual content, I pay them. Absolutely. But mods, no. And the other thing is I don't have any expectations from my mods. Pay them. Fuck the mods. Fuck the mods.
They were very mad at him. They're like, why the f are you the mod of LSF if you can't like delete these comments?
Mods are cops. I fucking hate having mods. I don't like the way people act when they become mods. I only have mods because it's necessary to have a certain number of trusted individuals who could help protect the community from freaks. But I don't like the way that people who get mod start to act up like they run the place. And all my mods are cool as fuck, and they understand that they're just first among equals. They are just another chatter who I trust and I appreciate, but they're not doing work. Going to doctor today for D-Pain. Why did Hassan do this to me? I don't know, man.
Next, this was what happened when he was watching your stream
But
earlier.
I do appreciate the mods, but they don't do work. I don't have schedules for them. I don't mandate that they show up. I don't have anything like that. You know, they're in the chat, they're watching the stream, and they push, you know, click heads of assholes. It's not that hard. I remember my mod exodus. I only lost like 3 or 4 mods because they were mad. Listen to this, chat.
Funny.
Listen to this. So Hassan suggested that when the Harry Potter game came out, that a bunch of pro-trans content creators should get together and do a fundraiser for trans issues while playing the Harry Potter game, and have the largest Harry Potter streams be pro-trans fundraisers, right? And I said that was a really good idea, and a bunch of rad lib annoying fucking woke of the days were like, no, you shouldn't do that. You should call everyone who plays the game a transphobe. And I was like, bro, this is the worst strategy ever. Most people don't even know about J.K. Rowling's insane takes on trans people. They just like Harry Potter. Like, shut the fuck up. What are you doing? And like a couple of my mods, like 2 of them were like, no, this is transphobic for you to defend Hassan's idea. And I was like, okay, leave. I'm not transphobic for saying other people who played the Harry Potter game are not necessarily transphobic. And I think it's a bad strategy to just run into people's chats saying, you're playing this game, transphobe. I thought a better strategy would have the biggest streamers on the platform expressly rebuke J.K. Rowling while playing a game that was going to do well and be popular, which it was, and it did. And we were right, but Hassan was harassed into not doing it. And so what ended up happening is transphobic creators were the biggest players of the game, and it was an L for all of us. That was a scandal that I was in. Also say it's mid. Yeah, I never played the game myself, so I don't know if it's good or not. I hear it's mid. A Diddy Gear is mad that people are calling him a pedophile because he commented on r/Destiny. Amazing. Chat, this is irrelevant for us, by the way. Pepe Laugh, DGG can't do shit on LSF anymore. Every Hassan post will find out if you ever commented at our Destiny and call you a pedophile while saying Hassan did nothing wrong. We have no power anymore. One of the things you'll see, chat, is a lot of Destiny super fans have started unfollowing Destiny on Twitter. But if you go into their follow list, it's like following Dan, following DGG. Like, they still have like 8, you know, DGG orbiters in their follow list. You could sniff them out really quick. It's very fun to like catch them, make fun of them. F-City fans have multiple sock accounts. Yeah. Can you imagine making a sock account for Destiny? Oh, that's funny.
With respect to Ukraine, we have our not DEI, but instead DUI Defense Secretary. XQC, why are we in the stream? What? Why are people adding XQC?
You the moron.
Monka almost caught. Okay, that was funny. He's been trying to get your attention for a while now. I was not aware, but I'm glad that the juicers are learning. Where is the LSF post? It's not even here anymore. What? They delete it? No, it just died. It's down. Oh, they took it out? Huh, interesting. I saw some logs from Diddy G openly upset that the
Man, can you imagine being an LSF mod for Destiny? Oh my god.
Head mod wasn't banning anti-Destiny sentiment fast enough. They literally were upset. They were like, why do they keep bringing up Destiny's sex pest allegations? It's just old drama. It's like, it's not drama, dog. It's a crime. Like, what are you talking about? So now every time they try to post like something about Destiny, all the comments are like, Destiny's a sex pest, Destiny's a sex pest, Destiny's a sex pest. And the LSF mod can't, catch them fast enough. Their new favorite thing they say is those sex crimes are old drama. No one cares. Yeah. Remember when this stuff was first coming out and people were like, when the stuff was first coming out and people were like, you don't understand. There's actually a lot of community members that are completely leaving. Oh, a chatter sent me the link. Here it is. Thank you, suspicious lagomorph. Business is in session. Please shut up and exit or you'll lose your entire purpose of LSF mod. Seems like every Destiny LSF post is brigaded by sex pests. Exact words. Is this a Hassan operation since he covered it? Holy shit, the LSF Ethan threads, Omega Law. The Hassan Special Forces are in full coordinated war in these comments. Am I crazy for thinking getting banned for doing Sig Heils a joke? Third, what is going on with the soy LSF? Is LSF completely taken over by Hassan fans now? Omega Law. What the are these tactical LSF posts? It looks so brigaded by Hoscord.
Chat, they're on the run. They're on the run. They're on the run, folks. Keep them on the run. Finish them. The worst thing you can do is let a wounded enemy survive. Kill or never fight. They're one shot.
I love that they also... How did LSF become so pro-Hassan? What? It's so funny that they're like... It's pure projection where they think like my community is brigading LSF while they're directly adding the head mod of LSF to be like, do your job, janitor. Nothing funnier than this. Like, maybe I'm not doing anything, but even after like years and years of concerted attacks, you know, your favorite sex pest content creator is not getting a lot of positive coverage recently. It was crazy. Reddit is turning towards us. We need to keep pushing. I doubt it. Reddit is so easy to brigade. They just need to realize that Zoomers especially love making jokes about sex pests. Just look how many teachers have had to ban mentions of Diddy. Yeah. I don't think Reddit will turn in the favor of like socialism anytime soon. These guys are not even particularly pro Hassan. They are just anti-sex pestiny. That's it. But yeah, it's wild to assume that people could not have come to their own conclusions about this stuff, especially with the aggressive sweeping that is being implemented inside of that community right now, including but not limited to like doxing their own fans or threatening to dox their own fans or threatening to leak private correspondences of their own fans and former orbiters that are former orbiters that have now turned on sex pestiny. It's crazy out there. It is pretty crazy.
We love to see it, chat. Turn the other cheek is 100,000 million% invented by the same slave master facing a revolt. So true. I think you should stop covering this drama. Perhaps consider talking about how it's 4 hours into the stream. First of all, it isn't 4 hours into the stream. So stop. You're early. Did you see Ethan react to an edited video of Dems? Yeah. All right, chat. We oh fuck, I wanted to watch this as well, which was Ethan Klein. You know, Bad Empanada has been putting out debunks of all the talking points that Ethan has been you know what that okay. Bad Empanada has been debunking all the talking points that Ethan Klein put into his video in a kind of really methodical way. So I just want to boost it. Why is this not saving my okay, never mind. So let's go, and then we'll talk about RFK Jr. and other political shit. But I just want to debunk the content nuke and boost Bad Empanada's videos. The best empanada.
I'd like to go over another ridiculous talking point from Ethan Klein's content puke. Haha, I'm very funny, aren't I? Oh, in my defense, that is at least a bit better joke than any joke Ethan Klein has ever made. So in this video, Ethan Klein claims that the reason why Anne Frank is admired and like thought of and like mourned so much is because she didn't do violence in response to being genocided. Let's watch.
Withstood genocide, right? Like he is a person whose only experience is like, it's literally like talking to fucking Anne Frank, basically. Okay, being able to talk to Anne Frank in real time.
To quote Anne Frank, I keep my ideals because in spite of everything, I still believe that people are really good at heart. Anne Frank...
I'd just like to be clear, Anne Frank is wrong there. The Nazis who massacred her and her family were not good at heart.
Continues to inspire generations of people because in the face of a genocide that eventually took her and her entire family's life, except for her dad, she refused to give in to hate, malice, and violence. And then there's this guy.
So I wonder...
That is not the story of that's not what you're supposed to learn from Anne Frank. Don't resist your genociders. What the fuck are you talking about? Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
want to be very clear here that what Ethan Klein is implying there is that what is like important about...
Did you know you're popping off on Reddit? Oh, yes. Yes. Mike from PA is reacting to Northstar Radio's video Ethan Klein's nuke on Hassan Piker backfired beautifully. Oh, what a coincidence that as soon as Methan starts beefing with Mike, a years-old, long-debunked list of controversies created the Destiny sub starts going around a certain sub. It must be magic. Yeah, H3, by the way, H3 viewers will never come to my stream. This is the funniest part. This is what I love about the Destiny people. Is DGGers already know you can't go to Mike's stream and argue a point. Like, you'll lose. You know who else knows that? Destiny and the 6 debates we did. The 6 political debates we did with me and Destiny, they never referenced those 6 debates because they were about issues and facts and history and shit, and he got fucking owned. So they don't talk about those. They just try to come up with like 6-year-old clips, 11-year-old stories from when I ran for office that were all pushed by the Republican Party that are false, trying to go into my mom's and dad's biographies. Like, this is the level of unhinged opposition research. And the thing is, all the stuff they've cooked up, none of it actually matters to anybody who's normal. Ethan posting about you and his story about him killing Shredder right now. Why don't you talk about all the facts, Ethan? You fucking loser. Oh my god, dude, it's so funny, man. So anyway, all that's gonna happen is it's gonna help me and Dems get even bigger. It's not gonna affect us at all. It didn't affect, like, what is he doing? He's like, he's so incompetent. He's so stupid. All you should do, Ethan, you know what you should do, Ethan? Shut the fuck up. Go away. Give up, dude. The smartest move is to just start making fart jokes again. It's not like, I don't understand the point. Like, what do they think's gonna happen? What do they think's gonna happen? Incredible. I wish Twitch mobile was usable. Yeah. Yeah. What a fucking loser, dude. All right, let's go back.
About Anne Frank's story is not that she was like this little child who tried to hide from a genocide and was eventually found and tragically massacred by genocidal Nazis for nothing more than her race. But it seems that Ethan Klein legitimately is implying here that if Anne Frank had like actually fought back, if she had hated the people who were trying to massacre her and like everyone who happened to share an ethnicity with her, that would have delegitimized her, that she would not be famous or anything, that would have delegitimized her, that she would not have merited being famous or anything, and that it's like delegitimizing for people who...
By the way, chat, if you want to see this is H3 right now. The Nolan cut. The universe brought Mike from PA into the H3 verse to be content courted. I mean, think about it. This guy is a Republican turned left-wing grifter who lied about being a lawyer. He's got incel cringe, political cringe, and he's a Hassad groupie who Hassad doesn't even acknowledge. Every single one of these things is hilarious. Plus, there's a woman who's super chat Ethan read of being only 18 when Mike's mom tried to set her up with a date with him. I have no idea what this guy's talking about. This is, by the way, next post. r/Destiny. Next post, H3 Productions. Is cracker a slur? Don't let Hassan's tough guy act fool you. Non-stop posts about all of this. Non-stop posts. No Hassan in the episode title or thumbnail. No, there's going to be more. It's time to stop telling Ethan to move on. It's not going to happen. If he wants to talk about Hassan, that's what's going to happen. I think socialism is good, but rather Dan defended than Hassan. Yeah, Dan knows a lot. Yikes, dude. These people weaponizing Shredder's death are absolute scum. I see it everywhere. Currently, Mike from PA is repeating, Ethan fed his dog too much cheese and killed him. I'm a sensitive pet owner, I guess, but Jesus Christ, have any of you ever lost a pet? What the fuck is wrong with these people? Yes, indeed, I have lost pets. I didn't blame everyone else but myself if I had harmed my pet. Hassan even catching strays on skateboard clothing videos. And r/Destiny. Ethan in response to Frogan having a fit over his unfollowing. Every fucking time, dude. Every fucking time, dude. Ethan Klein's fan base rapidly dwindling.
who are victims but who do hate their oppressors and who do want to fight back against them to do so. So basically the implication is that if Anne Frank had fought back, then she would have deserved it. That resistance to racial genocide is bad, and the only virtuous thing to do in the face of it is to not fight back and just sort of hide or kind of lie down and just hope they don't come for you. I guess he really hated resistance groups who fought back against the Nazis who didn't lie down. That seems to be his mentality anyway. And that really sums it up, and I think it explains really well why he hates people who fight back against Israel in any way, whether it's protest, donations, blockades, or actual resistance, so much. That's his mentality, summarized perfectly.
Ethan Klein, ladies and gentlemen. They are trying to claim his merch isn't local union now. They are pushing on defamation at this point. Well, they're Destiny DGG. I mean, they're Sex Pestity fans. You know, like all the people trying to push more Ethan talk more about Hassan, Ethan talk more about Mike. They're all Sex Pestity fans. No one normal cares about this shit. Nobody normal cares about me 11 years ago. I do. I'll talk about it, but no one normal does. Unless he did graduate or a lawyer or someone who graduated law school. I mean, that's what I argued in the case, but it doesn't matter. I won at the trial court and the appeals court, but the sex pest Supreme Court Republicans didn't agree with me. And they lost their positions like within 6 months or within a year or two of throwing me off the ballot, which they then won anyway. I won the Democratic primary 3 weeks later. So I was off the ballot for 3 weeks. It didn't even affect my campaign, other than me having to organize a write-in campaign, which I easily won. All right, let's keep going. All right, what do I want to talk about next? Oh, the Super Bowl halftime protester.
I mean, we over here eating steaks, hummus, sleeping on big lofty pillows and beds, and you see images on your phone, widows, people walking miles on gravel, no shoes. How could I not? How could I not? And then wake up and pray and say I'm a Muslim.
By now, you've probably seen the footage. It's Kendrick Lamar's Super Bowl halftime show, and just as the last song builds to a climax, a performer holds up the flags of Palestine and Sudan. We caught up with the performer Zulkarnain Nantambu, who staged that protest.
You know, people losing their loved ones, their children, so many janazas. I pray that their suffering is over, but while we going through it, we got to show that we with them.
How did the idea come about to unfurl the Sudanese and Palestinian flags while performing?
When we got into the Super Bowl, Superdome to practice, then I just started getting inspired on, man, hey, you're about to be a part of a big platform. Use this platform to highlight what your Muslim brothers and sisters around the world are going through. So when they called us out, I ran, jumped on the GNX, and then that gave me the height to unfurl the flag, and it could be seen, distinguished amongst all the other stuff that's going on. So it was like a platform to display it. They just saw somebody running around on the field, so they got a radio, oh, go get this guy. We ran across the field, and they just gave more camera time, more people to pick it up, and it was shown live. People that watched it live saw it. They saw it in the corners. Like if you go to the NFL's YouTube channel, you can watch the performance. The flag is still up. Then if you recognize it, you represent it, and that is really for them, not other people.
As you know, President Trump was in the audience. He's been talking about wanting the U.S. to take over Gaza. What is your message to President Trump?
I pray that God changes his heart. For his sake and for America's sake, we got to do what's right because we don't want bad stuff to come upon us. My ancestors built this nation. I'm an American, true and true. The reason why I didn't need an American flag up there is because Kendrick handled that for me when they put the people in formation. I just added the flags that needed representation.
You upset all these powerful corporations, right? But you won the hearts and minds of so many people, and your following on Instagram has skyrocketed. So what do you think is the lesson in all of this?
The lesson is be on the right side of right. Do what's right. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, life is short. And we believe that what we do in this life determines where we'll go for eternity. And when you do it for the people, you always gonna be supported.
By the way, the cops couldn't charge him with anything for doing this because he wasn't even trespassing. New Orleans PD is trying to find a charge and they can't. Yeah, of course. So
my source tonight.
Next story I want to cover is Hassan and I were right about the U.S. abandoning Ukraine, and this was always expected, chat. This was always expected. And this is part of the reason why I was in favor of a diplomatic solution very early, like years ago. I was like, we should be looking for a diplomatic solution. We should be trying to, hey, guarantee that Ukraine won't join NATO. That's not because I want that because I like that. It's because it's a material analysis of what's actually going to happen. And I know what the United States does with foreign countries like this. We use them up. We use them to attack our enemies, and then we throw them to the fucking wolves. And that's exactly what we did to the Kurds in northern Iraq and Syria and Turkey. We're throwing them to the fucking wolves. We don't need them anymore. So they're gone. Same thing. That's the exact same thing we did with the Vietnamese. That's the exact same thing we did with the Ukrainians. We're going to use you up. And then when we're done, we're going to say, I don't want to play with this toy anymore, and throw these people to the wolves. It happens time and time and time. We got a DGGer. Ooh, I can't wait. Ooh, wait. We have a DGGer. Oh my God. I can't wait for the Backfired as Hassan is too soy to watch it. I watched it. Dems watched it. Bad Empanado watched it. And we thought we made fun of it. And it didn't hurt Hassan one bit. It helped Dems and I get even bigger. Thank you, by the way, Ethan Klein. I know you're watching, Ethan. I know you're watching, Ethan. I just want to say thank you, brother. Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother. Thank you. I didn't have as many October 7th leavers as Hassan, but what I will say is thank you, brother. Best month ever. February 2025. Let's go. Ooh, I'm now the 202nd largest English channel. Thank you, Ethan. Keep talking about. You should post some more Instagram stories of me. Thank you, brother. Comrade Geck. Holy shit, that's 10 gifted subs, chat. If you enjoy the content, if you love to see us winning, if you love the fact that of 100 people that are watching Just Chatting in the entire world, 1% of them are watching the Central Committee stream. We got 0.41% of all English language Twitch users right now live watching us. We are absolutely exploding. So if you enjoy, Vio, what is this? You gave me a pie. Thank you, Vio. Congratulations on Grandmaster. Life is good for me, chat. Life is good for me. Vio just gave me a pie, a piece of pie. She's like, Mike, be plump. Be plump, Mike. Be plump, Mike. Have a piece of pie. Unasked for. The DGGers, man. The DGGers are pushing Ethan to attack me. And all I can say is thank you. It's like when Destiny said, I'm not talking about Mike anymore. He just uses me. I was at like, I don't know, 305 viewers. Then I was like, thanks. Thanks. Oh no, the Sex Pest fans don't like me. Pie so good he missed the 50. Oh! Somebody dropped a 50 bomb? Stopped giving a shit. Dropped a 50 bomb. Let's fucking go. Holy shit, chat. Sub count. This is incredible. This is incredible. 75, 35. I have to be in the top, like, how many subs does it say I have? Okay, it says I have 6,000. That's way off. Oh no, okay, that's pretty close. I have 6,814 subscribers and 7535 sub points. So where am I in the total rank of subs? Like, I gotta be like pretty high, right? I've got like more than Miskiff. Maybe I'm not in this ranking. I don't know. I don't know if I'm in this ranking. Yeah, this ranking. I don't know if I'm in this ranking. Current active subs. I mean, I should be. Maybe I scrolled past myself. I don't know. The ranking's broken. But like nearing the top 100 in subs, nearing like just about to break into the top 200. Thank you, Ethan Klein. You are my best friend. You pay my rent. Thank you, Ethan Klein. I now make more than Dan. Thank you. Thank you, Ethan Klein. Eclipse ORZ. Thank you for the 5 tier 1s. Do you think that frustrates Dan? Do you think that frustrates Dan? Like that I make more than him? Like he's part of a much bigger channel, but because he's got a ruthless capitalist boss that keeps him in line, do you think that bothers him? That I just based biddy Soviet Cranberry with the 4,000 bits. So do you think that bothers him at all? I don't know. All I would say to Dan is consider quitting. You know what I mean? Like, consider quitting and starting your own thing. I'll help you, man. I'll help you out. Shake the jiggly for the biddy. Hey, hell yeah, dude. It bothered Anna that I have 75-40 subs. 75-41 now. I still believe in Dan Hope and Dan Redemption. Me too. Like, Dan can lie about me and slander me. But the thing is, like, as a ascended person, as a person who is like who knows the truth about myself, nothing the like slop content people are going to say to me is going to do anything but embarrass them. Now, I'm not saying that I don't feel dramatic and personal and profound emotional distress. I may feel that from time to time, especially when I'm filing my lawsuits. I'm just kidding. I always feel profound distress. I always feel profound distress by them slandering me. Launch failure. Thank you for the 10 tier 1s. Are you talking about SpaceX? I'm in a constant state of fear and anxiety. I was feeling a little anxious last night. I don't usually feel anxious, but sometimes I do. It happens. I was feeling like anxious last night. And I hate that about myself. You know, sometimes everybody once in a while just gets a little bit of anxiety, you know? There's just something, it's like something in the back of your mind you forgot to do, you know? It's just the way it goes sometimes. And all you know what you need to do? You just take a nice, you know what I took? I took a nice long shower. We see your despair when you encounter profound stupidity. That's the thing that really gets me. That's the thing that gets me is like, when I look at somebody like Dan, he's not capable of actually understanding somebody else's point of view. He's not curious to find things out. He creates very simplified narratives about people, and then he adopts that in their mind. And it's like, that's a whole ass person, man. You just created a myth in your mind about that person to justify you mistreating them, right? You were looking for excuses to stab Frogan in the back, to stab me in the back, to attack Dems, to attack Hassan, who was your friend that you knew. That's truly low. Which Dan are we talking about? The H3 Dan. Credit me for the comfort food. Thank you, Vio. He uses tanky as a slur. They said they saw Hassan as family. Yeah. Just like a corporate HR person sees you as family.
Is one of the few people to see how President Trump and President Putin interact when the cameras aren't necessarily around. Ambassador John Bolton was Trump's national security advisor in his first term, and it's great to have you here, Ambassador, because you've previously said that you believe Putin sees Trump as what you described as an easy mark. You were there for their first meeting in Helsinki. What are your expectations for this one?
Well, I don't have any expectations anymore. I think we know exactly what's going to happen. President Trump has effectively surrendered to Putin before the negotiations have even begun. The positions that Defense Secretary Hegseth announced in Brussels, which I'm sure I'd be stunned if Trump didn't convey them directly to Putin in their phone call, constitute terms of a settlement that could have been written in the Kremlin. Maybe they were written in the Kremlin. And got out in propaganda channels. But it's a complete reversal of the U.S. and NATO position on a number of issues. For example, up until today, the official American position was that Ukraine should be returned to full sovereignty and territorial integrity. That's gone. The question of NATO membership as far back as 2008 had been that ultimately Ukraine would become a NATO member. That doesn't look like that's around anymore either. Putin has scored a whole series of victories today. It's hard to encompass them all, but I think one, in addition to these substantive concessions, is that he has now, it seems, exactly what he wants. Putin doesn't want to negotiate with Zelensky. He wants to negotiate with Trump because he thinks he'll get more out of him. And he's absolutely right.
On your point that you just made about not having Ukraine be in NATO, borders returning to what they were pre-2014, which Hegseth said was off the table. If a Trump official was here tonight and they argued, well, that's just being realistic, what would you say to that?
So why is John Bolton on CNN? And the reason why John Bolton is on CNN is because he's got the support of the military industrial complex and the far right neoconservative milieu. And that includes billionaire money. That includes think tanks. That includes warmongers, you know, the Bush era people. And he wants to go to war with Iran. He wants us to go to war with Russia. He wants us to go to war with China. This guy is a psychotic freak, but he's being presented to criticize Trump from the right wing. The idea, And by the way, chat, we're just 7 subs away from 200 on the day. That's pretty good. 200 subscriptions on the day. God damn, that's good. God damn, that's good. That's crazy. Thank you, chat. If Trump actually ends with a few months, it will show a bunch of fucking clowns Democrats are. Oh, by the way, when let's imagine that Ukraine, you know, there's a peace treaty in Ukraine. There's a peace treaty in Ukraine, and they give up the Donbass region. They give up claims to Crimea. They say they're not going to join NATO, but Russia says we will not encroach any further into Ukraine. And everybody signs the deal. There's security guarantees between Europe and Ukraine, and then the war ends. How will that change your life? How will that change the lives of Americans and Europeans? Mike, what is a tanky? Tanky is something that your English leftists came up with in the as a response to the Soviet Union helping suppress a uprising in Hungary. And there was a debate within the left about whether or not that was a good idea or not. And the people that said that the Soviet Union was justified were called tankies by these British leftists. Now it's just used by illiterate liberals who don't know anything to describe anybody who thinks the United States should not be at maximum war all the time. Basically, people now describe doves. That's what we're called. We're called foreign policy doves. We want peace. We want negotiation. They're now calling us tankies, which is ironic because they're war hawks. It used to be war hawks and doves, right? Nobody wants to be a war hawk because that's very unpopular. So in a kind of perverted reversal, the war doves are now called tankies, even though it has absolutely no connection whatsoever to its historical definition. We're called tankies because we want peace with China. We don't think the United States should invade Iran. We don't think the United States should support the overturning of the democracy in Egypt or Pakistan. We don't believe that the United States should be giving hundreds of billions of dollars to Israel. We're now called tankies because of that.
I'd say that if you're going into a negotiation, you don't announce what's acceptable to you before it begins and give away positions. I tell you, I've done a lot of negotiation with the Russians, and there's no country out there that's...
Isn't it incredible how 2025 starts? There's a ceasefire in Palestine, potential peace treaty to Ukraine, Dems discredited and unpopular, Ethan declining and crashing out, Diddy G a confirmed sex pest and facing legal action. I know. People are like, Mike, why aren't you a doomer? And I'm like, everything I said is going to come to pass, but I'm a socialist, baby. Which means I believe that we will win. That the workers of the world will unite. Maybe I will live to see it, maybe I won't. But I believe in my heart of hearts that one day the Scarlet Standard will fly over the surface of the earth. And we will be united. And we will build, unironically, fully automated, gay, luxury space communism. That's what I actually think will happen. Automated? Hell yeah. Hell yeah. This is your disagreement with Assad. He thinks nothing will get better. You think things will. Of course they will. I may not live to see it, but the contradictions of capitalism are there. And the powers that be are a lot weaker than we think. And class consciousness is an idea that will never die. Are you saying we shouldn't care about the oppression of peoples around the world unless it directly impacts my life? No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that the United States has actually made the situation in Ukraine worse by refusing to try to come to negotiated settlements, by interfering with Ukraine's internal politics, by trying to install spies and listening outposts, by being confrontational and warlike with regional adversaries. I think the United States should adopt the foreign policy that FDR had. It was called the good neighbor policy. We treat people with respect. We respect their sovereignty. We engage in mutually beneficial arrangements and trade and investment, but we respect their politics. We respect their sovereignty. That's what I believe we should do. That's what made America strong. America did not become strong because we ran around the world as a fucking empire. We're not the British.
Better at pocketing concessions that you make.
So we should have ignored Russia's aggression. Russia's aggression did not happen in a vacuum. Russia's aggression happened in a vacuum of the United States of America fomenting and encouraging it.
And then wanting more. We used to joke in Soviet arms control days about a famous Russian negotiator who used to greet the Americans every morning with a jovial, well, what have you got for me today? And that's what we're hearing from Russia. This is something Putin prepared the ground for. You know, last week he said he agreed with Trump that in the comments Trump had made in the election that the war never would have taken place had Trump been president. So he began the flattery campaign, the release of Mark Fogel, the American hostage, part of the flattery warm-up campaign, make Trump look like the center of attention. Belarus's decision to release an American and a couple others, part of the flattery campaign. It's obviously working.
Well, I can't believe Americans are being released and diplomacy is freeing people. This is terrible. We should go back to killing millions of Ukrainians. We should go back to 15 million Ukrainians fleeing their country as refugees all across the world. We should go back to ruinous inflation on consumer goods and energy. We should go back to the far right surging everywhere in Europe. Great fucking plan.
Said today also in his own readout of the call that he put out that Putin repeated back to him about using common sense to end the war. Do you think that that's part of that flattery campaign?
Right. Well, there was a tweet or whatever you call those things on Truth Social that said Putin used my very effective campaign slogan, common sense. I think we all believe in common sense, but he noticed that Putin had picked up that line. It's another stroke of flattery. I mean, you got to say Putin hasn't forgotten his lessons as a KGB agent maneuvering an operative around. And there are broader significances than just in Ukraine. This is a palpable harm to American national security, because what Hegseth and Trump did today was not only blow up the NATO position on Ukraine, they blew up a thing called the Belavasia Accords that Ukraine, Belarus, and Russia signed in December of 1991 that broke up the Soviet Union along the lines of the internal republics. So it means that not only is unprovoked aggression by Russia against Ukraine now okay, every other former republic in the Soviet Union is vulnerable to the same thing without any indication that the U.S. will do anything about it. And I think the people who are paying the closest attention to this outside of in Ukraine are in Beijing, where they see the United States unwilling to act against unprovoked aggression in the center of Europe. What are they thinking now about Taiwan?
If there is any chance that this works, when you look at the dynamics here, do you believe that there's a way that this could be successful, that it could end this war that has gone on for as long as it has now?
Well, I think it'll be successful for Russia. It was...
By the way, what Bolton wants to do is Bolton wants to keep America and Ukraine and Europe at war, killing hundreds of thousands of people on both sides for years. Here's the problem. Here's the problem with if you're like, oh, Bolton is making sense. We should keep the war going. The problem with that is the Ukrainians don't want the war to continue. So it would be an anti-democratic imposition. A poll came out a couple months ago of Ukrainians, and 60% of them wanted to negotiate an end to the war. The Ukrainians are running out of men, like physically running out of men that they can draft. The United States solution is they want to lower the draft age to 18. Up until this point, I think the Ukrainian draft age was mid-20s and older. I want to double check that real quick. Yeah, at age 25. There you go. Men are conscripted at 25. The United States was telling Ukraine, lower the age of conscription to 18 years old. And the Ukrainians said, no, we don't want to kill off the next generation. And so the reality is that eventually Ukraine's going to run out of men, physically run out of men. You know what the next thing they're doing? Ukraine is telling countries around the world that have allowed Ukrainians into their country as refugees to revoke the refugee status and force them back to Ukraine so they can be drafted. And the Ukrainian army is facing a massive desertion crisis. This is from 31 January, just a couple weeks ago. Everybody is tired. The mood has changed. The Ukrainian army's desertion crisis. Some of those abandoning the front line say the longer the war goes on, the more people like me there will be. So if you're saying, no, keep the war going, you're saying that you want to draft teenagers, you would have forced the Ukrainians to fight a war they don't want to fight, and you would have killed millions more and spend hundreds of billions of dollars. That is fucking insane. I would call that an outright evil position to have. This is Gallup research data, chat. Gallup research data. Half of Ukrainians want quick negotiated end to war. After more than 2 years of grinding conflict, Ukrainians are increasingly weary of the war with Russia. And Gallup's latest surveys of Ukraine, conducted in August and October 2024, an average of 52% of Ukrainians would like to see their country negotiate an end to war as soon as possible. 38% want to keep fighting until victory. So the Ukrainians want to end the war. They're out of men. It's killing millions. It's destroying Ukraine as a country. It's sending tens of millions of refugees around the world. It's raising our prices. For what? Mike, is it true you have a servant from Eastern Europe, not unlike Bo of the Fifth Column, who serves you unasked for meals and you order via translation app? No, none of that is true. They're from Central Europe.
It's a war of attrition. Russia's the bigger country. I think 3 years of mishandling by the Biden administration, dribbling out
That's a joke
weapons assistance one system at a time after months of argument, prevented a really strategic response to the Russian invasion. So there's a lot of blame to go around here, but the surrender is going to be signed by Donald Trump.
Can I get you just before?
By the way, it's not a surrender. It's a negotiated settlement. Ukraine is keeping the territory that they have occupied that they could defend. Where the front lines are. That's not a surrender. That's a ceasefire. That's a settlement. You ever hear John Bolton saying Israel should give up the territory they annexed after their aggressive war in '67? You ever see John Bolton crying his eyes out about aggressive wars giving territory to American allies? No, he doesn't give a fuck. This isn't a principle that he believes in.
Swore in Tulsi Gabbard this afternoon in the Oval Office. Pam Bondi swore her in, but Trump was there, obviously, inside the Oval. How does that presence as the Director of National Intelligence by Tulsi Gabbard, do you think, shape the Trump-Putin relationship in a second Trump term?
Well, I think Putin couldn't be happier. I tell you, they're drinking vodka straight out of the bottle in the Kremlin tonight. It was a great day for Moscow. I think Tulsi Gabbard's role as Director of National Intelligence is going to be extremely harmful to our national security. I think many allies are now going to think twice before they share intelligence with us. I think it'll impair our ability to gain confidence around the world.
All of that is good. Even if he's right, that's good. The United States needs to be rebuked. And you know what the United States needs to do? Return home. And focus on building up our own goddamn country. We've got a lot of real problems here at home that we should be spending our money on. We are not the imperial guarantors of every puppet tin pot dictatorship around the world. We need to come home. We need to focus on home. We need to build up our country. We need to spend money hardening ourselves against wildfires. I don't want to see Ethan Klein's house burn down in a wildfire. I want us to have the best wildfire fighting services in the world. I want us to harden against hurricanes. I want us to be hardened against earthquakes. I want us to be hardened against floods and natural disasters and polar vortexes. Why don't we harden the Texas power grid and connect it to the national grid so they don't have power outages all the time? Why don't we build renewable energy and clean up the air? Why don't we build high-speed rail crisscrossing America so that we can have high quality, high speed, green, carbon-free transport? Why don't we build ourselves high quality public and social housing so we don't have another homeless person on the fucking in this country? How about we fix our roads and bridges and infrastructure and public transit and hospitals? Why don't we build medical schools and dental schools so we have more doctors and nurses and dentists to provide health care for people? Why don't we spend hundreds of billions of dollars here at home making Americans better off instead of trying to guarantee the security of South Ossetia? That's insane.
It was one of his worst nominations, beyond a doubt.
Ambassador John Bolton, thank you for your perspective tonight.
Fuck, this is awesome.
Thank you.
Also here is the former Deputy Director of National Intelligence, Beth Sanner, and it's great to have you. You know what it's like to be in the meetings for these kinds of calls. We don't know about Zelensky's involvement in any meeting that Trump may have with Putin. We do know that Saudi Arabia is potentially the destination for that first meeting. What significance do you see in that, if any?
The Saudis are definitely playing this very well for themselves because the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, is saying no to Trump on a lot of things. He's saying no on Palestinians being forced out of Gaza. He's saying no on pumping more oil. And so here's something he can say yes on and be part of a solution. So there's a lot going on with that. But I think that the main thing about this is that this idea of just having Trump and Putin alone negotiating in Saudi Arabia is just a terrible idea. And they really need to turn this into proximity negotiations, just like with Hamas and Israel in Qatar, where they're there but not in the same room. That would be the right thing to do.
So you think it's not fair, or it can't be fair for Ukraine if they don't have a presence, at least in the same building or country?
It can't be fair, but it's also just this whole idea.
Listen, if Ukraine wants to keep fighting the war without U.S. support, they're totally free. They have sovereignty. Like, nobody's going to say, like, oh, Ukraine has to stop. We're not going to declare war on Ukraine. If they want to keep fighting the war, they can keep fighting the war. Like, and if you think that, like, they're not entitled to infinite American money and resources.
Idea that as Ambassador
Yeah, she
Bolton
meant
said,
Qatar, guys.
one of
She said
Putin's
gutter.
main things is that he just wants
What
us
an
to be a
expert.
negotiation between the two great men, and the pawn on the table is Ukraine. This whole idea of spheres of influence and great powers can do whatever they want, and they can just go in and take a country by force. And President Trump said this, like, they fought for this land, right? And that means, you know, as Ambassador Bolton said, you know, what's next? It kind of opens up the whole Pandora's box.
Trump also talked about they agreed to go to each other's respective countries. Obviously, if Trump went to Russia, that would be the first time a U.S. president was in Russia since 2013. And if Putin came to the U.S., that would be the first time he was here since 2015. What would you be looking for? I mean, what does that say to you that it's been that long since either of those things has happened?
Well, I mean, obviously, war crimes and a war of aggression is what went wrong. But I would say this, look, I am not as extreme on this call today being the worst possible thing. I mean, there are two things.
You think it makes sense, actually?
I think it makes sense. Look, how are you going to end a war if you do not talk to the protagonist? This whole idea about order and
Protagonist? This woman is not very good with her speech.
all of that, I don't
And she was the DNI. Whew.
know. You know, look, he spent an hour on the phone with Zelensky.
The word she was looking for is belligerence, not protagonists. Belligerence. Belligerence. How do you end a war without speaking to the belligerents?
If you're not having if you're not having translations, that's more time than he spent on the phone with Putin. You have Zelensky meeting with Vance, and you had the Secretary of Treasury there talking about an agreement which he described as a security shield. This is the economic, and he termed it economic and resource and security agreement. So there's something there. It's just some of these instinctive things that Trump says that, you know, makes your hair stand on end.
Like what did Trump say today that made your hair stand on end?
I think that he basically said that Ukraine was the cause of this war. You know, he said, I can't remember the phrase, Caitlin, you were there, but he said, you know, that they should have not gone into this, I think was the phrase. It's like, well, I don't think they had a choice when the paratroopers were, you know, going into the airport right outside of Kyiv.
I mean, like, okay, this is something that Americans frequently do. Whatever you talk about foreign policy, they do this like arbitrary date. There's no history before this date, and we look at this like obviously criminal act by Russia and say, see, Russia was undeterrable. Like, they don't even bother to say like, oh, there's nothing that could have been different. Like, wouldn't Ukraine have been better off fully implementing the Minsk agreements? Wouldn't Ukraine have been better off saying we're not going to join NATO? Wouldn't Ukraine have been better off giving autonomy and respecting the rights of the Russian minority in Ukraine? Like, wouldn't it be better? Like, if they had fully implemented the Minsk agreements and then Russia invaded, that would be a different world. That's not the world we live in. We had an internationally agreed upon set of agreements, and Ukraine thumbed their nose at it and did not implement it. Okay? That is a reality. And the CIA was operating brazenly in Ukraine. It was trading the Azov battalion and other far-right militias in Ukraine. Like, we know this. This is admitted. So let's not pretend like Russia just out of nowhere invaded Ukraine. Now, I personally think it was a bad idea for Russia to invade Ukraine. I think it was incredibly damaging to Russia. And honestly, if you evaluate it fairly, it was damaging to Russia. The winners of the war in Ukraine are the United States of America and China. The losers of the war in Ukraine are the European Union and the Ukrainians. Why did China win? Well, because Russia because Russia was separated from the EU energy prices skyrocketed, causing huge economic downturn for European and especially German manufacturing. Because they lost access to cheap energy, they now can't compete with Chinese and American manufacturing. Chinese and American manufacturing is now cheaper than European. Europeans are getting fucked over because they have to buy expensive imported liquefied natural gas from the United States, which is much more expensive than the natural gas from Russia. Russia lost because they lost their biggest customers for their biggest products. Now they have to sell it to China, and China now has the ability to demand a discount because there's nowhere else to sell it to. So Russia is forced to be more of a junior partner to China. It's forced to cleave closer to China. They can't use European customers to bid up against Chinese customers. Now China is the only buyer. That's called monopsony. So China has a monopsony over Russia. I'm the only buyer of your resources. So they could dictate lower prices for themselves. So the Russians lose, the Ukrainians super lose, the Europeans lose, the Americans win because now we have a captive market for our natural gas, which is why we love the war in Ukraine, because they have to buy our natural gas and oil. We're the top oil producer. We're the top natural gas producer. So now that's more customers for our products that get exported right out of Texas. Right? But you know what the other advantage is? American customers get to pay higher prices because now Europeans are bidding against American customers for American gas. Congratulations. Your prices went up. You know who the real winner is? Oil and gas companies. Oil and gas companies win. Not Americans. I shouldn't have said America won. I should have said oil and gas companies won because your energy prices are going up. So Chinese energy prices go down. That's why China has had zero inflation, chat. Did you know that? China has had zero inflation from COVID. None whatsoever. And this is one of the reasons why. So China wins, Ukraine super loses, Europeans lose, Russia slightly loses. They gain some wins, right? Because they're going to win some territory, they're going to win international prestige, they're going to show that you could fight NATO and the United States in a conventional war and come out on top. Like it's a kind of like, it's an L for Russia because overall it was really damaging and expensive and not worth it. But they get to at least save face. The United States wins because it doesn't really matter to us what happens in the Donbass region. You know, that's fucking crumbs. That's icing on the cake. Who gives a fuck? So China and oil and gas companies, that's who won the Ukraine war. Isn't that great?
How much of that do you think is the personal relationship factor in this between Trump and Zelensky and shaping his view of this, or Trump and Putin potentially?
You know, I kind of feel like this gets a little bit deeper into this idea of big, powerful countries, big, powerful people should talk. And small countries are weak. And they're, again, the pawns. So I think it's just this very instinctive thing that he can work it out with Putin and it will be okay. And, you know, there wasn't as much today that was said that is different than Biden. There were some important things that were, but Hegseth said those things in the context of a negotiated settlement. No one expect NATO to be a NATO membership as part of a negotiated settlement or getting Crimea back. People want it to be frozen so things can be dealt with later.
Once Russian assets and arms are freed up from Ukraine, it will be interesting to see what role they take in the Middle East and Africa. Yeah, that's another good point. Is like there's problems with the French colonialism in West Africa. They're starting to rebel, and the Russians are assisting the Western Africans in fighting for their own sovereignty away from the CFA franc. Another big L. Speaking of China W's. Look at this story. It's incredible.
Something weird is happening. There's a view forming that the greatest emitter of greenhouse gases has peaked in its production of those planet-warming emissions, and that the next step is for them to reverse year after year. You know who we're talking about. They're also the world leader in the development of green technologies.
What China has been doing in terms of renewables is something no one has really done. It's at the heart of the problem of climate change, contributing so much to the emissions over the last 2 decades, but it is also at the heart of the solutions.
If China really has hit peak emissions, its journey to carbon neutrality could be underway. Unless, that is, A cold economic force is building just up ahead. China accounts for more than 30% of carbon emissions globally. This may not surprise you. What might is how long it's taken for that to become the case.
If you look at a country like the UK, which began its industrial revolution in the late 1700s, or the US, where it began in the late 1800s, it took decades, maybe even centuries, for the country's emissions profiles to sort of slowly rise and then hit a peak and then slowly fall. China has done that all in fast forward. Its industrial revolution really only began in the 1980s after Deng Xiaoping's economic reforms, and it's seen a huge, massive increase in emissions since then.
This line, which tracks China's emissions over the past couple of decades, speaks for itself, and loudly in comparison with these other big polluters. Powering some of that rise is this stuff, and lots of it.
Coal is the most polluting fossil fuel. It emits twice as many greenhouse gases as natural gas, and China is absolutely full of it.
China's power system is very heavily reliant on coal power, and that is the largest contributor in terms of China's domestic emissions.
China mines and burns half of the world's coal in order to power its economy.
An economy of 1.4 billion people, no less, and rooted in heavy industry. Literally producing the building blocks for factories the rest of the world has grown to depend upon.
Anytime a country imports something from China, it's in essence exporting its own pollution to China that it would have emitted at home otherwise.
But growing international prominence inspired a rethink within Beijing's halls of power.
The turn of the Olympics was when China really started thinking about things like electric vehicles and clean energy, because they wanted the skies to start to clear up. And at the same time, they realized that there was a huge economic opportunity here. Chinese companies were several decades behind Western companies in a lot of technology, but if they could leapfrog them by skipping over internal combustion engines and going straight to batteries, building gas turbines and going straight to solar panels, then they could get out from being in this low-end manufacturing and advance straight to high-end manufacturing.
Then came a new face of power.
Under his leadership in 2014 and 2015, China decided to set a goal of peaking its emissions before 2030.
According to some estimates, it's this target that might already have been reached well ahead of President Xi's schedule. And he still has his other, bigger goal.
We aim to reach carbon neutrality before 2060.
That would be a big deal, and not only for China. The world would be in a better position to slow global warming, a key focus of November's COP29 summit in Azerbaijan. It could also help offset the impact of nations less interested in reducing emissions.
And we will frack, and drill, baby, drill.
Donald Trump has already signaled his intention to withdraw from the Paris Agreement, just as he did in his first term. With China's already vast lead in terms of renewable energy investments, it's the US that could soon find itself under more scrutiny when it comes to emissions.
Over the last 2 decades, the Chinese government has set out a range of policies that set the direction for China to become a leader in certain green technologies.
One of the things that people have said, like, oh, Mike supports China, but do you notice that I always try to give you guys Western sources for this information? Sources that are biased against China, that are biased against this Communist Party. I try, there's plenty of like propaganda I could show you from the Chinese government, right? But I decide not to do that because I want you to understand that what I'm saying is fair and true and based in fact, and not something some government somewhere wants us to believe. This is the important point, is that this is why China is winning, because they're actually performing, they're actually delivering. And we could do it too. And honestly, we could do it better, but we're running out of time. And it's the time for American cope about China needs to end. You need to stop treating China as if, oh, they only make fake stuff and it's crap and their construction doesn't work and they can't build anything. That 2008 era propaganda needs to end. And we need to wake the fuck up and go, oh shit, they're eating us. They're kicking our fucking ass. So we can fix ourselves. and we could live in a better society.
That's meant investing money into research and development. In 2023,
look at the investment in energy transition technologies. China, $675.9 billion. The United States, $303.1 billion. And then, a bunch of European Union countries. This is pathetic. This is pathetic.
The amount China pumped into energy transition technologies eclipsed other nations. And if you look at the total amount of renewable energy China now generates, it's more than double that of the US. Massive facilities like this solar thermal plant in northwest China are products of the country's R&D spending. But so are more consumer-focused technologies, like these, referred to as the New Three.
And they've become a very important focus for the Chinese governments to promote these industries domestically, but also for China to become a global leader in those industries and to export to international markets. China produces 80% of global solar panels. That is huge. There's not really any international competitor for solar. Green technologies became the top driver of economic growth last year in 2023 and accounted for roughly 40% of GDP growth.
Their companies are building the biggest wind turbines in the world. Their batteries have the longest range of any batteries in electric vehicles out there.
And generous government subsidies consistently helped that, meaning developers could fund projects even before they were cost competitive. And those subsidies were offered year after year at great cost to China, because officials knew taking them away could hurt the market and those companies might fail.
This is what happened in the US. This is what happened in Germany and Spain. The subsidies would get canceled, and industries that popped up around the subsidies would get sort of cut off at the knees.
Even with significant government support, the strength of China's green energy innovation obscures the view of what's happening outside the power sector.
Things like steel and cement making. Right now, those emissions are coming down because of a drop in production, thanks to the property sector being in a lull. But long term, they're going to still need to produce those things.
In short, it could simply be that lower emissions are a side effect of China's slower economic growth, and that if its economy picks up again, that progress could be pushed back. The Chinese government and the companies
when they say slower economic growth, they mean 5%, which is, triple what the US does.
Will have a choice. Double down on renewables and make China a global climate leader. Or kickstart the old fossil fuel engines to power an industrial revival.
They're not doing that. China is investing in renewable energy, hydropower, and nuclear and fusion. They do not want to use fossil fuels. They think that fossil fuels are strategically vulnerable and damaging. They don't want to do it. They are going towards nuclear and renewables. That's it.
But if emissions really have peaked,
once you get beyond where we are now into really cutting into emissions, going into industries like steel and cement that are difficult to decarbonize, into investing in the grid in a way that you can really start to cut coal power
They're
out
already doing it
more heavily, those are going to take a lot more political willpower. It's going to take difficult choices that are going to cost people jobs and perhaps cost important companies a lot of money.
Yeah,
and
I saw that
that's the real question. Does China
Discord.
have the political willpower?
By the way, chat, if there's something you want me to watch, I don't talk about this enough, but if you go into my Discord, there is a channel called News Content and Suggestions. And if you want me to like cover a story or look at a video, the single best way to get me to do that is to post it in there. It's no guarantee, but I look through those, and because it's focused on content suggestions, video suggestions, they're much more likely to be watched out of that than any place else. Do you though? I check it every day. In fact, it's the only channel on the Discord I check every day.
Power to back up what's been so far.
What if I give you money? That's the better way.
The accident.
But don't spam it because you'll get banned. Do I have a ban appeal process for the Discord? Yes. Message the mods and apologize for whatever you did and be better. The rules in the Discord are don't be annoying. Don't be a hyperventilating, annoying piece of shit. That's the #1 rule. Wow, chat. By the way, chat, I'm going to be bringing you... Yogopnik and I need to, like, collab more. I need to do more with Yogopnik. If you're a Yogopnik viewer, tell him that I want to. I'm just really, like, kind of antisocial on responding to messages. And if you want me to respond to your messages, you should just spam me. I don't... Well, not spam, but, like, you can keep messaging me. I'm a middle-aged man. I'm a middle-aged straight man. I grunt a lot. You know, I'll do like one-word responses. Like, I'm emotionally closed. All right, this is a flaw of mine, but it's true. So if you feel like I'm messaging Mike 10 times more than he messages me back, I feel balanced there. I feel balanced. Like if somebody messages me 10 times and I message them once back, I'm like, wow, I'm doing a good job of maintaining the friendship. This is a problem. I'm just telling you it's a reality.
Here, one of the co-hosts of the show. What you're about to watch is a highlight from one of our most recent episodes. To get access to the full version, receive 2 exclusive episodes a month, get every episode 1 week early, and help us stay as independent as possible, support us on Patreon through the link below. Thank you. Now enjoy the show. Guys, you feel very bad because you've caused this. Don't you know this? The American liberals are basically telling us that because we did not strongly advocate for Genocide Joe or Genocide Kamala,
you didn't spoil the
pretty much started this whole thing. It's our fault that their thing they've started is maybe going to continue. Do you feel horrible? Do you feel very herder, I should have voted, hamdallah?
Yes, of course. Kamala Harris was the correct choice. I supplicate myself at the feet of the DNC, who just a few days ago were very bravely engaging in resistance consumerism.
Tell me more about that, because I started and I swiped. I was like, I'm not engaging in this.
There's
content, but swipe.
Some bullshit about Costco upsetting the Republicans, and so the Democrats are like, it upsets Republicans. We're going to support Costco by just going like with a photo op shopping spree at Costco with elected Democratic officials. Like, what the hell? Like that's what you guys are doing. That's what's important right now. Getting a $1.50 hot dog, which is a great deal. But come on, guys.
The anti-racism hot dog.
Yeah, I mean, we always knew that the Democrats and the liberals were going to do this. They blame the left no matter what, regardless of their own failures, their own complicity,
and anybody. No, you're completely right. And sorry to cut you off, but I just want to say, anybody who says this, you just realize these people have such few straws to grasp at, because the reality of the situation is that Trump is just doing any attempt to continue like expelling or to any attempt to expel the Palestinians out of Palestine from Gaza or wherever else would be a direct continuation of Biden's policies. Biden tried, come hell or high water, as the Americans say, to expel the Palestinians, but failed at several turns. But he tried so fucking hard. Right? Same thing Trump might try as well, but this is not number one. And number two, and he was like, oh, but see, this is what you voted for. There are most likely 200,000 people who have died as a result of this genocide, essentially, under Biden, and the entirety of Gaza is fucking rubble. The scars and trauma of this event will.
Hugo responded. Wait, what happened? I was taking a piss. Check your DMs for Hugo. Oh, okay.
Reverberate through the fucking generations and through time. Right, and then soon this will be in the history books known to be one of the greatest catastrophes of.
He didn't respond to me. I messaged him
last. That the entire quote unquote enlightened, liberal Western world supported with full might and diplomatic cover and economic support and weapons and so on and so forth to show them for the facade that they are, and then they're in the bullshit that.
Tell him to check the messages.
So on that. But Gaza has already been destroyed. There's nothing that Trump can do. Literally nothing. Even if you were to drop a nuke on the fire, there's nothing that you could do to make it worse than it.
New nuke drop incoming
with CARE or Islam.net or the.
Holy shit! This thing is 28 minutes long. Okay, the next one, the rape blood libel debunked. We might have to watch tomorrow. That's too long.
Already is right, and anything
we're gonna watch every single one of Bad and Panada's debunking of H3's content nuke. Ethan Klein fans and snarkers, we're going to cover every single time that Bad and Panada debunks a Ethan Klein argument to the fullest extent on this channel. We're going to farm the fuck out of Ethan Klein.
Would account to expelling the Palestinians, which by the way is just talk, right? Unlike what Biden did, which is go and try to bribe Egypt and Jordan with tens of billions of dollars, essentially, to get them to take them. Any attempt is just a continuation of what Israel has been doing since the 40s, right? Or even earlier, actually. Right, so it's a silly point to just be like, but now and this, and because this particular election was lost, you're fucking idiots. Is my point.
Yeah. I mean, I think the left, the proper left in America, the United States, finally is like, no, we're not going to justify. Like, we don't feel the need to defend ourselves anymore. Fuck you guys. You're on the same team. Like, this is your thing. Own it. So, which is correct, which is good. That is the response you need to have. Like, the DNC needs to die. It needs to go away.
They're seeing them as the animals that they are. I mean, these people are utilizing a massive catastrophe, a human-caused catastrophe, American and Israeli-caused catastrophe as a simple political gotcha against, as a coping mechanism, not even a gotcha, as a coping mechanism to why they experienced one of the greatest electoral losses in American history. Like, if there is something that shows that you have not even an ounce of humanity left in you, it's just that utilizing mass suffering as a fucking Twitter post, my dude. Like, what the fuck? And you're supposed to be better than the other dudes? That's what I'm supposed to think.
No, that cat's out of the bag. No one's ever gonna think that again, or no one can in good faith claim that. Like, they'll still try.
I mean, buy at Costco, Gentlemen, your topic, please.
Sure. Let's we'll continue with Donald Trump's very successful first few weeks in office, shall we? Let's talk about the Canada and Mexico tariffs here. Yeah, we love
Canadian and Mexican patriots unite. I'm obviously a Mexican patriot. Hakeem over here is a Canadian patriot. In between is an American insurrectionist fighter, uniting for the great North American continent against the Trumpian dictatorship that apparently changes everything, and everything is not how it was yesterday. Trust me, promise me, I promise you, trust me.
So Trump, he's talked a big game about his tariffs, like he does with everything. But he has struck a deal to postpone for 1 month. Now, the proposed tariffs slap a 25% tax on all Mexican imports.
Honestly, like, the thing about Donald Trump is he just wants to be the center of attention. And that is what he's really good at. He's good at saying things that cause people to pay attention to him. And once you realize that, you stop reacting to him. And you need to start coming up with your own plans that he has to react to. And that's when he looks really bad. Whatever Trump has to do something that he didn't plan on talking about, he comes across like a total fucking dipshit.
On most Canadian ones, and then a separate 10% tax on energy products, all of which experts and non-morons in general have said would obviously just blow up the entire North American economy, which would suck. Buying stuff, going to the grocery store, that would be bad, but also objectively I think would be very funny. But the
I mean, you would have a $15,000 camera to record the suffering.
Yeah, I mean, like I would pay 3 times as
Even
much for
Hakeem
eggs
laughed at that.
for the content.
Oh god.
But yeah, so the leaders of the 3 countries, they held a few meetings.
Did you see the bill being proposed in Congress to buy Greenland and change the name to Red, White, and Blue Land? Yeah. I think the best way to understand Donald Trump is the Gulf of America shit. Nobody was asking for it. It's generically like, it's just generically kind of patriotic, but in the dumbest fucking possible way. And it doesn't actually matter. Yogopnik raid. Well. Leaves me on red. Answer my DMs, bitch. I'm about to leak DMs because the last message is from me saying, what's your schedule look like? Silence. Go ahead, man. Go ahead. You'll see. Caught. I thought that was my last message. Your messages look blue. The other person's messages look gray. You are not. Shit, you're right. No fucking shit, I'm right. Mike was right is a meme. For a reason.
They put out some strongly worded statements and stuff like, "Oh, Canada's not for sale. Canada, whatever." But then everything just kind of settled down on its own when Trump agreed to a 1-month pause after winning some, quote, enormous concessions. He's very proud of himself. That's his
huge
thing.
Anyway,
So
we're
would you like
watching
to know
you
what,
guys like sit there and blabber to each other because it's the end of my stream, and I like to go right to 3 p.m. Eastern. So I'm just stealing your content, brain deadedly, not even really saying anything. So anyway, thanks for filling my pockets.
Some of these concessions are, yes. So everything he won, quote, won, was pretty much already in place. Canada had already pledged.
These are always outdated because they go out 1 week afterwards. Yeah, they really. You need to change that. You just need to post quicker. Although I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to do YouTube. But does somebody want to teach me how to do YouTube? Because I'm really leaving a lot on the table by not making TikToks and not doing YouTube. Like, I need to do that. I could probably like get a decent channel on YouTube if I grind it out. I'm working on it for Yogopnik with some of the other mods. Want me to help you out? Twitch is just the problem that I have is, as Yogopnik is probably figuring out, Twitch is the best place to make content. This is something that a lot of people don't agree with who are not content creators. There's a reason why people love Twitch, because it's awesome to be a creator on Twitch. And I hate to give them so much glaze, but it's true. Now, they make boneheaded decisions, but as far as like community and shit and just the way that you get feedback, and there's a lot, it's just better. It just feels better to be on Twitch as a creator.
Support for border security.
There's a reason you have a vested interest in glazing Twitch as well, of course, because I'm a Twitch streamer, so I'm protecting my bag. Duh.
Which is like not.
The problem with Twitch is it's exactly that. Chatter is right. It's isolated. Twitch is isolated, which is good thing though. It's a good thing. It's nice that Twitch is at like 25% market penetration, because that way people are not as obsessed with Twitch. Do you see what happened to TikTok? Everybody starts talking about TikTok 24/7 and they start fucking with it. This is like the perfect amount of like, you bring people to Twitch. It's awesome. Are you going to let the Clips industrial complex thrive? I mean, sure. Toasty, that sounds fine. Growing your community on Twitch is 10x harder than YouTube. Guy is primarily a YouTuber for now. I don't even have 100,000 followers on Twitch. But as far as viewership, I'm in the top 200. Because guess what? It doesn't matter. Followers don't matter. It's people watching your stream that matters. If you have 1 million followers on Twitch, it doesn't mean shit. What matters is how many people actually watch you for hours on end. And I do really well on that part. I do really well on people watching me for hours on end. I think you are shadow banned on the other platforms, I swear to God. I just don't really engage with them. Like, here's the thing. I'm not trying to pat myself on the back too much, but the reality is I know how to make content for myself. Other people don't really know how to do that. I'm not as easy, like, that's the other thing. Like, people don't know how to make content of me. Like, Chuck D's, thank you for the 10 tier ones. And there's a lot of like, I had my problem with YouTube is I fought with Destiny and Vouch and Bell of the Fifth Column very, very early in my career before I had any amount of a fan base. So I have a big population of insane haters on YouTube because I fought against them. And by the way, every single one of them are scum, which is why I fought them. But it is what it is.
Necessary along the Canadian border. Honestly.
I said Vouch, Destiny, and Bo the Fifth Column.
They had already pledged like $1.3 billion, I think, to shore up their border, and then they gave the U.S. some dude whose official title now is Fentanyl Czar, which sounds way cooler than it actually is. Like, oh, I want to go see the Fentanyl Czar. But no, he doesn't do. No, he does the opposite of what you think.
Bo might actually be an op.
They
yeah.
gave the dude the title Fentanyl Czar.
What happened to Bo?
They agreed to list drug cartels as
he's a human trafficker
organization. So like a useless title and a written
Dude,
acknowledgement.
they were literally like, yo, you need to spend billions on the border. We already are, but don't tell them. Yeah, billions on the border, absolutely. You need to make narco cartels, terrorist organizations. Yo, Mike, do we have narco cartels? We don't. Okay, they're terrorists, I guess. And a fentanyl czar. Yo, who wants to be a fentanyl czar? Misha over there. Misha is fentanyl czar. We good. Okay, ciao.
Love Canadian
shit.
Misha. Yes.
Yeah.
That
was racist. Okay.
It was not. I love Mishas. All Mishas. You're all my favorite. But anyway, so no policy really is changing here. Same with Mexico. Mexico's President Sheinbaum agreed to station 10,000 troops along the U.S. border, nominally to help stem the flow of immigration. This isn't really a change. These troops are already deployed around there. They're just being shifted a bit to appear more focused on the U.S.-Mexico border. But what would be extra funny, they got all these troops along the U.S. border with permission and demand from the United States. What if they're just we could take Texas right now? What if they just they launch an insurrection from the border with their tens of thousands of troops, reclaim Texas for Mexico? I think that's the move. I think that President Sheinbaum, if you need a local informant, hit me up.
Exactly.
I got contacts in Texas. Unfortunately, I'm no longer
there. You're getting hit up by ICE tomorrow.
I'm kidding. This is a joke. I'm not encouraging Mexico to invade with tens of thousands of troops.
He is encouraging him to invade with hundreds of thousands of
Hakeem is. Yeah, go find Hakeem.
Hence why he is a levitating head.
Yeah. Anyway.
Smart.
Because I'm not only encouraging it, I am on the front lines.
He's there right now. They can't tell him apart. He's also brown.
Yeah, Ethan Klein basically can't tell Hassan's mom apart from a Mexican woman, so that's interesting.
Imagine if they actually accidentally shoot each other, like the border cops from each side, and then eventually they have to figure out a system because of all of the border skirmishes, and they're like, "Yo, have you seen the shit that happens between China and India?" For those who don't know,
sticks.
Literally like medieval shit, like sticks and shields, so nobody dies, but they can beat the shit out of each other. Dude, as a non-Mexican and non-American, I would. Fuck the UFC, dude. I'm paying primetime money for that.
Yeah. I want the Mexico-U.S. border to look like, the Central Asian republics, where there's enclaves within enclaves. That's what I want it to look like.
Yeah, we've got solutions here, President Sheinbaum and President Trump. Please use the D program as your intermediaries.
Yes. Exactly. We charge a very, very
low fee.
Modest fee compared to your other advisors.
No kidding.
Give us the Heritage Foundation's entire funding. All right.
That ain't no low fee.
Holy fuck.
Oh my God.
Buy me a camera, specifically the Blackmagic Ursa Cine 12K. Oh my God. Anyway, Trump is claiming victory, as always. And while even the staunchest capitalist market goons are like, that was pointless. That was dumb. And so one expert said the sanction threats were, quote, purposefully vague so that he can declare victory regardless of outcome. There isn't any grand strategy or rational explanation for what he's doing. It's chaos for the sake of chaos.
Apparently, Ethan did show yesterday where he claimed with zero evidence that Hassan has hired an undocumented immigrant to be his personal housemaid. They deleted that section when they posted the VOD version of it. Sounds like someone doesn't want to get hit with for slander or defamation. I mean, how many lawsuits is Ethan currently having right now? How many lawsuits is Ethan currently funding right now? It's like he's getting sued from his housekeeper. Isn't he getting sued by somebody else? Like, didn't Ethan Klein get sued by somebody else recently? Maybe you guys would know better than me. Who's Ryan Kavanaugh? Hassan thinks Annie means servant. Oh no.
Which is a strong statement from someone who would normally be aligned with Trump and his escapades. But basically what we're seeing here, these things were already in the works. Trump is just unnecessarily burning bridges with the few remaining.
Oh yeah, that's not the lawsuit I'm talking about, guys. I'm talking about other lawsuits.
Goodwill trade partners that the United States has. So all in all, doofus behavior, in my professional opinion.
Thank you for watching. To gain access to the full episode, receive 2 exclusive episodes a month, get every episode 1 week early.
Chat, make sure that you are subscribed to the D program. Thank you all for all the support today. I'm sending you over to Vio. Vio just hit Grandmaster in Marvel Rivals, which I'm told is impressive. Is hitting Grandmaster impressive? Okay, well, Vio is now a Grandmaster Marvel Rivals player. God gamer. As a Marvel player, yes, that's very impressive. Yeah. Pretty cool. I hit Grandmaster Bader on Jerkmate today. I'm sure that's true. What the fuck is a VO? Everybody is constantly asking. So I'm going to send you all over to my VO. What games do I play? I play a lot of different genres of games. I've been a gamer for a long time, but I'm currently playing Civ 7 and I've been tinkering around with Project Zomboid. I played a little bit of Marvel Rivals. Just stuff like that. All right, everybody, stay safe out there. Solidarity forever, my friends. We'll be back tomorrow to see more of the Ethan Klein malding, fallout, you know, self-destructive crash out. Stay safe out there. Solidarity forever, my friends. Peace out. Free Palestine.